Hey there, and welcome to the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. Here we chat with modern day mystics, occultists, witches, and warlocks in an effort to find the secrets laying beyond this mortal realm. Follow us on social media at Greyhorn Pagans or Greyhorn Podcasts. Visit our website www.greyhornpagans.com. Make sure to subscribe to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/GreyhornPagans for bonus content, a look behind the scenes, and much, much more. Like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into it.
Welcome everyone. Welcome back to, of course, the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. It is good to have you all back. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And with me, I have, of course, the ever lovely Miss Heidi Love, the one who, really blew up my Instagram without even meaning to. It was the reel on pickled punks. As we speak, it's sitting at 1.2 million views. How that happened,
Wild.
I have no idea.
Me either.
My Instagram, I made a video about it. I made a reel about it. It was the beginning of January, I believe. Yeah, it was January when I started using Buffer to really, push out the shorts. I was at 250 followers. Gaining some, losing some, but kind of stuck at 250. I'm at 1,033.
Yeah,
36
good job.
Maybe by this. I'm not even gaining followers, daily. I'm getting them by the hour now,
Awesome.
which is crazy. And it's getting so much.
People are
so
still
much traction.
commenting on it too. It's
Yeah,
so funny to me.
absolutely. And of course, I have to, leave replies and leave comments, and even those replies are getting, a couple hundred likes.
Tedious, probably too.
I mean, which is great. So yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know what I mean, do go back and watch the initial show that we did. That was all about the cabbage babies, orphan trains, Tartaria related stuff, which is still one of my favorite rabbit holes.
Yes, love it.
And there's I can talk for hours and just talk conspiracy. Tartaria.
It's really relevant now.
Yeah, relevant. That too. I mean, when is it not relevant, really? But I guess, the human trafficking aspect, the child trafficking aspect of it, with...
Well, did you hear about the Mormon blood?
Oh, of course they are.
Are we going to start this out? Yeah.
Of course they are. I mean, you have said that last time, and I mean, God, of course they are.
And it was in the Epstein
files. They have their fingers
files.
in it.
Yeah, it was in the Epstein files, which is bananas to me that everything. I've been saying this for a long time. I've been doing the show about, the cabbage babies that sound crazy for a long time. And here we are in this day and age with the Epstein files releasing about Mormon blood and, paying tuition as long as he got his pint of blood every month from the Mormons. And I'm like, okay, I said what I said.
I mean, of course they are, dabbling. Of course they have their fingers in that pie as well. I mean, where don't they have their grubby little fingers in?
That's the truth. That's the truth. And it's kind of concerning knowing, one of the very first Paracelsian societies was right here in Salt Lake City. So what were they doing? I don't know. Sure. We should ask Juan. Because he might know. Very few people wouldn't know, but might know. So, yeah.
Oh, I actually know an alchemist of the Paracelsian school. I could totally ask him about it as well.
Absolutely,
I know him through one of our tribal members, a very dear member to us, Oculus Veritatem. He goes by. He's also quite a quite a good occultist. He knows
Yeah.
his stuff.
He
He
knows the
absolutely
stuff.
knows his stuff. He introduced me to Phoenix Aurelius, is what the alchemist goes by. I've had him on the show, but he is of the Paracelsus school, so I should
Yep. You should
totally ask him.
get them on about a show because, yeah, it's crazy. It's just very weird because, and I'll drop this, I did a show last night all about the Epstein files and the Mormon stuff. It's on YouTube. But they talk about, this Mormon blood. And I was like, well, I wonder, because this is how most of the time I do my research, if weirdo Howard Hughes had any Mormon blood. Well, he did. I found it. And so, of course he did, right? Like, and then
Yeah.
you kind of step back and go, this is weird. And it's been going on a really long time. So that's a lot. And so when we have doctors that get prosecuted because of this after the death of Howard Hughes, it's a little concerning. So supplier of the blood transfusions were provided by Salt Lake City Pathology Laboratory owned by Dr. Homer C. Clark. And at the same time, Rand Clark taught executive to Frank William Gay, the Mormon of Summa Corporation, who worked directly for Howard Hughes. He was having this taken over different state lines, which is illegal. They got prosecuted for this afterward. They were in trouble. This is all like in documents and everything. But there's some like funny little jokes about Howard Hughes being a vampire. And it makes you wonder. But I guess he just had anemia. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, sure. No, that's got to be it. And they're like totally not vampiric cults that exist worldwide, and it's not like I know someone personally who is an ex-cult member, Yost. So no, it's medical.
It's real. And why would they want the Mormon blood? Like, funny thing is, in 1943, the Salt Lake City LDS Hospital opened a blood bank that kept separate stocks for white donors and black donors because, and I quote by Reuben J. Clark, who was a very prominent church member, he wrote that pure blood was a concern for the church's membership and that he pushed for segregation of the blood at the LDS hospital to make sure there was no perceived risk to the members' lineage, because this doesn't sound weird at all. And hospital record interviews include nursing and staff from the mid-20th century that confirm blood bags were often marked with a C for colored or left with nothing for white. So there's that. Yeah, weird. So obviously,
pure bloods. That sounds
pure bloods. Yeah.
I mean, we've heard that term
Harry
thrown.
Potter.
Yeah, and
And
during
more
the
places.
during the COVID years, people who didn't get the shot, calling themselves pure
Yep.
bloods, which I mean, there's some merit to that.
Mm-hmm. But they love that out here, so there probably wouldn't be too many of those. But because the church owns the labs, which own the makers, and they pushed it. The prophet came out and said, "Be a good global citizen and go get that." So they did.
Well, I guess I'm not a good global citizen.
I'm actually not either. So I just think it's funny. We see this kind of stuff time and time again. And I'm sure if I kept going backward in time, I could find more connections to older people doing this kind of stuff inside the Mormon church. We know it's used in different sacrificial rites. I mean,
yeah.
But usually they acquire it a bad way. But whatever, we won't go into that today. But, sometimes they just do it from them. So it's a whole thing. But we know this. The sacrifices happen and they're real, have been happening since Canaan. Okay. So nothing under the sun is new.
No, time is cyclical. So, if it's not
100%.
still happening, then, it will happen again or is happening again one way or another. Just like the child sacrifices. I mean, they're just, still doing them in a different way, still sacrificing them to, our God, the system, the government.
Yes. We're going to talk about the government today, actually.
Oh, great. My favorite topic.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up my screen here and for a minute, Windows, but that's okay. I don't know if you can add it after. Let's see. Share. But yeah, I found so I'm going to be starting a new podcast to my podcast, like inside of my podcast about Mormon history. And that's just because I think it's really important that we understand history. History is obfuscated for a reason,
Yeah.
and that reason is very important, but they don't want you to believe that. But if we didn't know things, right? If we didn't know about history, they can program you however they want to. It's pretty simple. So, yeah, I decided to start going down that rabbit hole. And actually, I was just doing family lineage, and then it became a whole thing, as
Mhm.
always. I don't need to find these things, honestly. And so that's why it's always super interesting when I do. But bloodlines are really important to the Mormon church.
Yeah.
Very. I think I've proven that a lot. So we have to look at why and where all of this started and like the background of it. Okay.
Mhm.
So I want to show this little verse by John Dee from a book called The Book of Madoc. Okay. Sometimes the sites have called it Mad Dog with a G. All right.
Mhm.
But this is a really critical verse to understand what the heck is going on, A, with the Book of Mormon, and B, how it relates to John Dee, who is one of my great great uncles, which is weird.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
fun to have in your family lineage.
Yeah, it's a little strange. I mean, I should have not been so surprised because the Medicis and all that weird stuff, but
Oh,
it's weird
yeah.
to see it here in America.
Mhm.
I think that the people that came here were selected by the most part. And then, they bring the porch people with them. But regardless, we'll do some fun little exploration here in this book of Madoc. So I want you to hear this little verse because this is one of the most first verses in the Book of Mormon. I, Nephi, being born of goodly parents. In the Book of Madoc by John Dee, which is much older, I, Madoc, born of goodly parents. Therefore, I was taught somewhat in all the learning of my father, is the Book of Mormon. Was taught somewhat in the learning of my father. Nevertheless, having seen many afflictions, he didn't put that part. He just put there, I make a record of the proceeding of my days at the top for the Book of Mormon. Therefore, I make a record into my day as a vagabond upon the face of the earth. Do you see the
Yeah.
similarities?
Yeah. I mean, some
Almost
some
word
wor
for word.
some words
Yeah.
left out, some words, a little scrambled, but
Hmm.
it's a little more than just inspiration.
Right. I think that it's mostly just leaving things out, right? And
Mm.
changing the way he talks. So I make a record versus, he says it the same. He doesn't talk about being a vagabond, but he just goes into the proceeding of my days. And the other one
Yeah.
is upon the face of the earth. So
I mean,
it's
it's
almost
kind of, can
exact.
I copy your homework? Yeah, sure, but like change it up a
Yeah.
little so it doesn't look like you copied my homework.
So we're not plagiarists. I mean, plagiarists.
Yeah. Yeah,
Me and my
that.
smart
Yes.
assness. Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
We have a guy that stalks me that likes to call me a plagiarist. Hysterical. Anyway, so I want to tell people a little bit about the history of the church and definitely about the Macs, okay? And when we talk about these people and how they came to be important to the church, one of the main reasons is a lot of this, okay? Talks about a group of Rosicrucians, okay? Called the Zionitic Brotherhood that migrated to Ephrata, Pennsylvania from Mormon. Okay, but that's pronounced Mormon, not Mormont, which you might be familiar with because it's in Belgium.
Yeah.
Mormont, Belgium. Well, that's weird. That's funny. They call Mormons Mormon, like the pronunciation of this word. They had a subgroup called the Order of Melchizedek. Well,
Yeah. Of
the
course they did.
Melchizedek priesthood is the priesthood that Mormons receive once they're high priests. And they built a temple at a place called Zion's Hill. Supposedly, the Whitmer family, very important people, Whitmers in the Mormon church, okay, were all members of this group. And the anti video claimed that the way we pray in the temple was taken from this group, as well as the Peter, James, and John story. So the way the Peter, James, and John story is they're the ones that bestowed, the Melchizedek priesthood and brought it back to the members of the church to, Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery at the Susquehanna River, which is also an interesting place. But anyway, they all wore white and practiced baptisms for the dead. You don't say. That's very interesting. I don't know. Weird. So this Mormont, Belgium. This is are you familiar with the place at all? Since you know of there?
It sounds familiar. I mean, I don't think I mean, I haven't been there, but it sounds Mormont. It sounds familiar, at least.
I've never heard of it before this, but I was shocked. I like to say I was shooketh because let me tell you, hearing the word Mormon before this, I mean, this may be the reason why the LDS church wants to be called the LDS, not Mormons, because maybe too many people were putting two and two together here, right? And Ephrata, we know they were doing some strange sexual stuff and making, their own little fancy cults and whatever. But we do see this group was Rosicrucians, okay? And I mean, there's some little stories about the Rosicrucians coming to America and what they brought with them and how they got here. All right. So we're going to talk about this guy right here. This is Prince Madoc. This is who they're talking about. And he was a Welsh prince. And he got here way before Columbus. So that's a problem. Because when you stick your stick in the sand, right, and you claim something for the queen, because that's who he was here for, what does that mean for America if Columbus didn't claim it for Spain? Means those treaties are invalid. That's a problem for America. So I think this has been widely hidden. This particular sign was taken down, even though it was put up by the Daughters of the American Revolution, the DAR. It states so at the bottom, in memory of Prince Madoc, a Welsh explorer who landed on the shores of Middle Bay in 1170. That's a long time.
Well before Columbus.
Yes. And he left behind with the Indians the Welsh language. Okay. And authority is the Encyclopedia Americana, copyright 1918, Webster's Encyclopedia. And it tells you exactly here where all the tons of sites. This isn't just one. There's like 5. Okay.
Ancient and where did Roman coins even?
Right. Oh, wow. Where did they land? Alabama. I think that's funny because we know that, Operation Paperclip ends up in Alabama too at some point. So, whatever. But here's the thing. If Prince Madoc came here and he claimed it for the queen, which John Dee says happened, period. Who owns America? Everything is invalid that they would have had worked out between the Native Americans and everybody else if it's signed underneath people that were formed underneath the treaty that was done by Christopher Columbus. Okay. It's a problem. It's a problem. I can see why they suffocated it to death. But the problem with this suffocation, the legend wasn't just a legend. Obviously, we have documentation, which I just showed you, but there's some more documentation because he left behind some things, and it wasn't just stones and bricks and coins. He left behind a whole posterity. Okay. He came back here and was never heard from again after another voyage. And if you notice, he had a dragon for his coat of arms. It looks like a snake though. See it?
Yeah.
And what do we know are around this area? We have snake mounds. They're shaped specifically like snakes. And I can't prove anything on that one.
I know that one. And that boat also very much looks like a Viking longship.
Right.
With the dragon hat and everything, of course.
Yep. Of course. So he went and took wife, and they had many children. They made their own posterity, and these people are called something that you may have heard before. They're called the Moon-Eyed Children, okay? Or the Mandan.
They are the Moon-Eyed Children.
And look at her eye shape. Now, they say that the Moon-Eyed Children couldn't go out at night. Now, this makes sense because if you think about it, if they were two very different skin colorings, a lot of times you can end up with an albino person, okay?
Yeah.
I have, some Spanish people that are in my family that had a baby with a very fair person. They had 2 albino children. It happens. And So maybe some of them were that, but many were just documented to be these white Welsh Indians. But this is a picture of supposedly one of them, and they have sort of a specific look about them. And they had
That's,
hazel green eyes or blue
hmm.
eyes.
I
And
mean, those
so,
are definitely European features.
absolutely. And the chin is as well. It's a softening somewhat of the face, right? It's
Yeah.
just a different look. And so these Mandan people actually existed, like Mandan, Nebraska. They made it clear up to Nebraska. They named a town after them. Like there's no speculation in the fact that they exist. If you look again at the eyes on this person, this is a real Mandan. And look at the moon shape of the eye. This is
Yeah.
what I dare say it is. It's not necessarily just that they couldn't go outside it. I think that's a story that helps them hide something hidden in plain sight. Because when I smile and I look at you, what do my eyes do?
Yeah, they become big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go into moon shapes, little
Yeah.
crescents. And so when I show you some other Mormon people that kept their bloodlines pure, they're the
Mhm.
Kingstons. Okay, we'll talk about them in a minute, but I just want to show you his eyes for a minute. Do you see something there? This is such a genetic trait. This is so passed on. The hooded eye with the
Yeah.
downward slant. It almost looks Asiatic, right? If you didn't know.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
It's definitely a very prominent feature passed down. And
Y
so
You
if you
would
s
recognize this guy out of,
yeah, if
in a
you see
lineup,
I would
let's
say he
say.
looks like a Mormon. That's what I would say, right?
You would know better.
Same with the dad, but he's darker. And this is a trait of these
Mm.
people we're gonna talk about here in a bit. They're named the Kingstons, and they are a clan of Mormons that broke away, and they keep their bloodlines pure by, the old Egyptian way. They marry each other's sisters and brothers and whatever. This still goes on today. And they should be stopped because it's really against the law, but, they donate a lot of money to politicians, so they don't. So,
I
they
mean,
look very native. He looks Native American in some ways, right? Like, you can see
yeah,
the darker
he does,
features,
definitely, darker
but he's p
features. I wouldn't say that he is, 100% European.
right, right,
I mean, the
different.
inbreeding is also very European.
Yep,
The
yep.
Habsburgs, they
Oh,
definitely,
100%. Yeah,
I
they
mean,
totally
but
do it.
they took it way too far.
I don't know. I think these people take it just as far, to be quite frank. Actually, what they did is they got really smart over the years and they hired a geneticist so that they could figure out who could marry who because they got really rich. So
Mm.
these Mandan people are actually really well known throughout history. The Cherokee speak of the Mandan, early Mormon connections. Well, hell, there you go. Here it is. Mormonism and Maddock. Okay, primarily stems from early LDS leaders like Brigham Young, who
Of course.
reportedly believed that a Welsh settlement existed on the Rio Colorado and that the Hopi or the Mokai were descendants of Maddock as well. Wow. Okay, cool. This Indian theory, it gets interesting because I know a few things that are going to play into this. Okay. It also goes into this white horse prophecy, racial superiority, the whitest of the whites, or if they were mixed or whatever. So this gets into some weird stuff for the Mormons.
White
And
horse, that's very Celtic.
that is, and it's a whole thing. Actually the white horse prophecy would take a whole episode. But I will show you that I do believe the Book of Mormon was translated into symbols, and they look very Enochian in nature, but they also look like really old Welsh.
Mm.
Okay, Coptic Welsh. And so there was a guy, I can't remember which one, that came here after Maddock. I'm hoping this slide is it. And he said that he almost got killed. Okay. And he started crying out in prayer to God because they were going to kill him. The natives were going to kill him. And he starts praying in his native tongue. Well, it happened to be Welsh and they stopped. They stopped what they were doing because they understood what he was saying. They knew it well. And
Oh.
he survived to tell the tale. So there's been a lot of accounts of this whole situation. Okay. And we know that it was taught widely about these white Native Americans, these Welsh Native Americans at this place called Dartmouth. Dartmouth is a huge connection, but the fact that Professor Johnny Smith, who was the fifth cousin of both of Joseph Smith's grandparents, taught there as the first professor, even though they're dumb farm people, don't worry about it. So he's there. He's a polyglot. He knows all about this. And they're teaching this history of Maddock. Okay. You can see that he is the college librarian. He is also a pastor, which comes into huge play. It's very interesting about how
Master
the theology
of
lines
ancient
up.
languages, theology,
right.
philosophy, Newtonian science. Man, that's Greek, Latin, Hebrew, Chaldaic, Syriac. Jesus.
Does this look like a dumb farm boy to you? I wanted to know that.
No, this looks like someone who
He knows his shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, if
He
he
knows
doesn't,
what's
then
up.
yeah.
And we know that this is all being taught at Dartmouth. And why do I bring Dartmouth up? Well, I bring Dartmouth up because this is where his brother, Joseph Smith's brother, Hiram, went to school. And people say, well, it doesn't matter because his brother went to school there, but he didn't. Okay, listen, that's great. But also his mother's brother's son, who just happened to found Mactown, Illinois, and the uncle himself found Pontiac, Michigan. I know Chief Pontiac did, but he wasn't a actual resident of there because they were a tribal people that moved around. So he was the first permanent resident of there. And he also opened a bank. Gall darn it. Don't you know? So
of course.
The Mormons have been in this banking business for a long time. And I'm going to show you why here in a bit. But this guy, okay, Johnny Smith, is friends with Dr. Nathan Smith, another Smith, but don't worry, they're not related. Right. But he just happened to marry Joseph Smith's neighbor, Sally Chase, who was the one that was, showing him how to work his seer stone and very woo-woo. But you know what? Dr. Nathan Hill does even a more fun thing. He digs up so many bodies that they run him out of town. And Hiram Smith was unable to finish what he was doing at this school because he had one little year left. But Dr. Nathan Smith, alas, ran out of town for digging up bodies. And he runs straight to go start another medical school at Yale. Of course he does. Yale. Yeah, Skull and Bones, Yale, where William Huntington Russell is Joseph Smith's fifth cousin. You don't say. So
they truly are all related, aren't they?
They really are. And guess why? Because on the Mayflower, Joseph Smith and Emma Hale, which if people know their history, Hales are pretty important, especially in the Revolution. But these people both had 7 ancestors on the Mayflower, 7. And so they got married, even though apparently her dad didn't like him, but somehow they still let her get married to him. But they're in the same family because they're cousins. All the people on the Mayflower were related to both of them, including Howland. And if people look that up, he's the guy that fell overboard. He's super important when we get into Seekerism. And, I can't make this stuff up because I don't need to. It's there for your viewing pleasure. Yeah, just do a quick Google search. So he is definitely related to the first families then. And these first families that came over on the Mayflower were said to, I don't know if you've heard this before, smuggle Rosicrucian papers that were very important to the occult over here. Isn't that fun? A fun, cool story. Guess where they got them? Supposedly, of course, from Dr. John Dee. So,
yeah, of course.
Weird. So we've got these people that are just totally involved with all of this stuff through lineage, through marriage, through, saying, yep, the white natives were here. There's proof of it. Let me show you something that you might recognize. Well, this is something that was found here. This is one of Prince Madog's symbols that this Native American tribe uses. I know you know what it is. We're going to get in trouble.
Geez, there's so many symbolism in that.
This is an Awan sign.
Yeah, no, this is of course
the
this swastika, the feel. You got the solar symbolism in there, like right in the middle. You'll see that.
Which is also what? Which is also a sign for the Templars.
Oh God, yeah.
In my story.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you'll see that a lot in that's also Celtic or presumed Celtic
100%.
at
Yep.
least. And the swastika is an ancient symbol. You got the dragons again, dragons, snakes. What are they? Winged even?
Yeah, this is Prince Madog's symbols. You know that many believe that he was actually Quetzalcoatl. Isn't that fun? Isn't that a fun bearded guy that's a
Uh,
white guy that just shows up on the shores? I don't know. I don't know what. I
I
wasn't
mean,
there.
I can see like some Mayan influence in
Yeah.
this as well.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Weird. You know, if you have these things all over, okay, this isn't the only thing. They didn't bury their dead like the Native Americans. They made fortresses and stone walls. They actually buried them in the ground too and did stonework. Like all of these things definitely made it here. This is provable. This is the stuff I can prove. Okay. I'll always say when I have conjecture and when I don't, because I think that's fair. But this is all like a big piece of history. Okay. And we know something about the Templars and what they believe. Okay. But they also believe the same as the Mormons believe is that Jesus's bloodline continued on. He had children with Mary Magdalene, actually two Marys and a Martha, that he was a polygamist. And that one of these people that were, very important with this whole story as well is Tia Tephi, sister of another daughter of Zedekiah, in some accounts described as a princess who fled to Egypt before she eventually settled in the British Isles, okay, and founded the Scottish royal line.
I recently heard about this. I recently heard that theory that it was indeed someone fleeing from Egypt who basically established Scotland.
That's right. Yep. And guess what? This high king, that they're obfuscating this a little bit, and it's kind of funny to me. But allegedly a daughter of King Zedekiah of Judah, the last Davidic king. Remember this, before the Babylon exile. Okay, she fled to Ireland, where she married a prophet or met Jeremiah, a prophet, and married an Irish high king. Okay. I'm going to tell you who that Irish high king is for my speculations and from the DNA that I know. So there is some DNA studies that are out there. And I want you to know that Mormonism is not claiming that they are from the line of David by adoption. I want you to know this. I want you to know that they actually are claiming that they are from the line of David because they're from the line of David. Okay? People believe this is theoretical, like by the adoption in, Jesus Christ, and when you have baptism, that they just believe this. That's not true. And the reason why I'm going to try and find this other slide before I go into this one. The reason why they believe this is actually backed up by some real DNA evidence. And so these must be out of order. But this DNA evidence is that they've gone through and figured out Joseph Smith's lineage and his DNA lineage by going and tracing his ancestors. All right. And they did this with the church. This was the church did this, the LDS church. They will happily tell you all about it. Okay. And they're actually really excited about it because it's this really rare DNA profile, R1b M222. This is his Y paternal chromosome. These studies are from Hugo Perego, 2008. People can check me all day long. I'm happy if you do. And this is linked back to the Nile of 9 hostages, this king, this Irish king. And I just read you about what they believe about Tia Tephi and
Yeah.
this Irish king marriage. And Joseph Smith states that he is, and so do the fundamentalists, such as the Kingstons, the holy bloodline from Jesus Christ himself and Mary Magdalene, which is a Judah, Manasseh, and Merovingian blend. All right.
Oh wow.
Why do I have the bloodline I have? I don't know, but it makes me sketched out when I read this stuff because I'm
I
a
mean,
Stewart. Yeah.
bloodlines are for every royal and like high placed family. Bloodlines are so incredibly important. That's why the intermarrying in the families
Yes.
itself, or I mean, people think it's a thing that
Silly
like
or,
was
yeah.
only.
Uh-oh.
Thank you very much, Timmy. It's my cat. He wants to be part of the show.
I can't see you, so it went blank. I was like,
yeah, which is fine, Tim. But then don't
Timmy
actively just lay there and be big and
complaint.
orange.
Yeah.
I mean,
so isn't this weird that they actually
big and orange.
traced this chromosome? I'm like, okay, look, when we're talking about what they believe and what they can prove, and then when I say I'm related to the House of Stuart, I mean not 20 times over, second cousin, somebody. No, I mean like right up from my great grandma, 2 lines. I am related to supposedly this illegitimate son of the king, okay, that went to South Africa and fled and whatever, and Stuart Talbot. Okay, so I think it's strange that my DNA aligns with this lineage that my grandma, who was a genealogy missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and was very thorough. I went all across the country taking pictures of dead people's headstones and crazy shit. People wouldn't even believe the microfilm and everything. This is probably why I'm a good researcher, to be honest. Yeah. So we had to do all this weird stuff for the church. Okay. And so I know that she verified it. They will say it is an unverified line and that it's silly and blah, blah, blah. But I was there.
If they're so obsessed with it, then it has to be true.
And these fundamentalists, which mean polygamists, okay, these fundamentalists are so crazy about it that they broke off from the mainstream church when they said no more polygamy. You can't do it. Okay, they broke off and said, no, you're a false prophet. We're going to go and do our own thing. And they continue that Egyptian way today. That man I showed you back here, who was raising cattle and saw how to work genetics somewhat. But I think that's a cover story because he definitely was in the military, but whatever story you want to talk about your cows, Kingston. And they started something called the Davis Co-op. And isn't it funny that we have these people that were so absolutely ingrained to do polygamy? If they were carrying what they believed was the Grail, I'm pretty sure they were told to spread their seed far and wide.
I mean, and even if they weren't told that, I still would. I mean, you literally have a holy bloodline,
Right.
It'd almost be a sin not to spread it. I mean, it's even,
which makes polygamy make a lot more sense in Mormonism, doesn't it?
And very effective.
It was, in fact.
You gotta spread good seed.
Yes. This has actually been surprising to me when I found out exactly where that went, because we're not just going to talk about here. It went into Mexico through the Romneys. It went up into Canada through the Mac family. And it became different religions kind of each place it went. Like up in Canada, they were seekers and then spiritualists when they came down toward the West Coast. And then, they were here in the East Coast. They get very involved with, some Ephrata's and I think the Quakers, but I can't prove that. But we definitely know William Huntington Russell is involved because he's their cousin, right?
Yeah.
So we've got all these people and all this bloodline just being like totally spread out all over America. And what was the Rosicrucian papers about? Well, they say it's about all this stuff I'm telling you here. And that this was passed on from the Mayflower and ended up, some of it, not all of it, with Joseph Smith and his family. And they were really persecuted and had to move a lot and blah, blah, blah. But they were also involved in the Inquisition for witchcraft at Salem. And, the Gould family, Gould, if you've studied anything about the Salem witch trials, you know that that was a very important name during this time. So the Gould family was the accusers, right? And so was the Smith family. And then they make this lady get hung. She swears she was innocent. And Joseph Smith gets the plates 100-something years later on the exact same day she died. That's weird. But also, the Gould family goes on to marry into the Smith family after this occurs for 6 generations. Do you think maybe they were protecting a secret? Because I do.
6 generations.
6. 6 it is. And so
That's
these
planned.
first families, these first families are very interesting because we know something. Look, if people would read, it's a great thing to do. It's fun. Or listen. I'm not against that. You got to listen to some Francis Bacon, right? Francis Bacon. If you don't want that one, you can listen to Manly P. Hall and his book about America. But I'm just saying, I know that the Rosicrucians got their agenda over here one way or another. We see time and time again the NWO working closely, right, with certain religions. It's not just one. It's not just Mormonism, but Mormonism is there. And we definitely see by the proving of like all this stuff here, we have chevrons, circle crosses, Awen signs. We have a national banner, brass bracelets, epitaph stone, the alphabet, the jawbone, everything, all this stuff here. And the jawbone, we're never going to see it again because it's at the stupid museum. They're not going to give it up. And they've ordered DNA on it.
It's at that one, the one that has
Mhm.
a habit of
Losing
misplacing
things.
certain
Yes.
artifacts. Yeah.
So it's so interesting to me that we see this and we know that these families, these first families, become what? They become the Pilgrim Society, right? You can qualify if you are blood enough and you have enough relatives, even if you're a dumb, poor farm boy like Joseph Smith, who's a nobody that has 7 relatives out of 100 on the Mayflower. That's fine. Then his family goes on, like I said, to find Pontiac, Michigan. But that man's son, who also attended underneath Eleazar Willock and Samson Occam at this Moores Indian School, which became Dartmouth, this is what we're talking about. And he's very close about this whole situation too, and the Rosicrucians and the Jesuits and everything. So Eleazar Willock is very in the know. And this is where they're studying. And, John Dee's whole thing isn't the only thing here. Okay. There's other books written about the surviving accounts. Chronica Welly, written by Humphrey Lloyd. This is the earliest surviving account that claims Maddox visited America. John Dee used this unpublished manuscript to build his legal case for Queen Elizabeth. His legal case for what? He knows what I know.
Mhm.
That they got here first. That's strange. A treaty by John Dee presented to the Queen asserting her right to Northern America based on Maddox's 1170 voyage. Whew, that would be a problem, huh?
Yeah.
There's also
No.
History of Cambria, the Principal Navigations. Like there's all these people that have written about this and published. This is not like Crazyville. Just not. So George Catlin, he's the guy that almost died, I believe. And talks about the Mandan and how they looked with their skin was light, blue eyes, use of Welsh things like coracle boots. All this stuff is out there. Like this isn't just crazy conspiracyville. This is not. This is not that.
No.
And so you have to look at it. Like you got to look at all this stuff when we're talking about, what exactly happened here. I mean, they turned it into folklore, but I'm sorry, like it's got to mean something when we look at all of this evidence. I mean, honestly. So, kind of scary when we think about the implications that this could have for America. And I'm sure, absolutely sure, that's why they keep it under wraps. But was this the plan from the beginning? Was this the situation, right? What were they doing and talking about in Francis Bacon, right? Brave New World, right? New World.
Hmm.
So we do know, there's Welsh style tools. There's different museums. They made them take down that sign for the Daughters of the American Revolution. That's gone.
Yeah, which is not sus whatsoever.
Not at all. We've got
No.
Lewis and Clark talking about the Welsh Indians. We've got all these people talking about it. Okay. Like, obviously, like this is not a harebrained scheme. This is not that. And we also hear about Smith, right? The explorer Smith, not my favorite Smith, but he's going on and on about this when he gets back to England. Okay. So it's just weird. It's just weird. I don't know. I think that there's a lot here that we have to question, and I am not the only one that has questioned this. Okay. There's been others that have come along and questioned this from the actual church themselves. Okay. And they've shut them down. This woman is a Mandan. She looks nothing like what I've ever been told, native. Whoa, American people are. That's being crazy, but I'm trying to blow it up. I don't think it's going to let me.
Wait, she's
But look at,
supposed to have Native
she is
American?
Mandan. Yep. She's
I
the
mean,
Mandan.
my wife has some Native ancestry, and I mean, when she puts her hair up in braids, you can see it. It's the high cheekbones,
Right.
and
look at
they actually did some research on it, and they can, well, like almost like they're very close to proving that they are related to some big chief, really. But they have done the research and they have some ancestry. She does. I mean,
the
I'm
wide
kind of.
cheekbones, these down slanted eyes. Again,
That's very European. I mean, Germanic, often being mistaken for Dutch. Yeah,
Yep.
I can see
Yep.
that. I was reading the text and I was thinking to
Yes,
myself,
that's
I mean,
exactly
that
what
is
it said.
someone that's you'd find here on the streets, just average Dutchy, really.
Yep, exactly. Why is that? Isn't that funny? Isn't that wild? Like, I just think there's a lot of proof here, right? And like I said, this DNA study was the kicker for me. This R1BM222 to the Nile of Nine Hostages, Irish royalty. And this is why they literally say they have a claim in the line of David. And they have this. I posted it before. I should add it to this, but they have one holy royal line, and it's like this put out from the Mormons, and it says, "From this line, kings will rule," with the Jewish star on it. And so I'm just saying, like, they literally mean what they say. When they say the Davidic line, they 100% mean it. And so the explorers like George Catlin and William Clark noted that the Mandan had light skin, blue or hazel eyes, and hair that turned gray with age, traits they consider unusual for this region. All right.
Yeah,
So,
because I mean, the Native Americans, much like the Asians, for example, they don't really gray. I mean, they'll have like some will turn a little gray,
it's
but
white.
usually
They go white
yeah
later.
they go white, not gray like we do. And light
Yes.
skin, blue or hazel eyes, there is, if they're not European, there is definitely European mixed in. Because I
For
mean,
sure.
Native American is, looking more Asiatic, like more,
Yes, 100%.
more. I say like more towards like Mongolian
Right,
or
right.
Inuit.
Yes.
Very.
Yep. All part of what? All part of what? The Great White Brotherhood, right? Let's not forget what white really means to the people that it's important to. I don't care for myself, but I'm saying that this is very important when you get into theosophy, when you get into why Mormons were segregating their blood from other people, all this whole
Yeah,
talk, right?
white is
So,
pure, and yeah, okay, yeah,
right.
that
But
nonsense, sure.
the Eskimo people, they are considered apart. Or, the Inuit, different tribes, Asiatic tribes, all these different people are considered a part of the Great White Brotherhood. They are also white, Aryan, basically. And so we have to look at this stuff and understand like what that means, because people will say, oh, well, they pushed to marry Native Americans and stuff. Yeah, they did, but that doesn't mean anything. So some of the early travelers claimed that the Mandan language contained Welsh words. Okay. So I'm going to tell you something about the Book of Mormon. Do you know what the Book of Mormon was translated into after it was translated into English, what it was translated into next? It was translated into Welsh.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Because that would make sense if this is what we're talking about, right?
And Welsh is such a harsh language.
Coptic Welsh. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
Coptic Welsh. This is
like
not normal.
old Welsh. I mean, like the Welsh nowadays, you have no idea what what the hell they're saying. I can't even imagine like going back a few hundred years. I mean,
So
I
if
have
I,
a like we were kind of talking about Tartaria in the beginning. I have the book written by the former seven-time mayor of Amsterdam, who actually explored the lands of Tartaria, the physical lands of Tartaria. It's written in 17th century Dutch. That is what, four centuries ago. Let's say 400 years ago. I have a hard time reading it, and that is
right,
my
because
own.
it's so weird.
It's my own language, a much older version of it. If Welsh is such a weird language already, imagine it, going back 300, 400 years.
Exactly. Well, and here's the funny thing about me. Since I am a pioneer Mormon, right? Since I am from the beginning of the beginning, I'm a fun little litmus test. So, you know, I have quite a bit of English in me, but, first they just put it all together. And then I have Scottish and Irish, checks. I have Canadian Aboriginal, okay, which just means to me that, we know the Mandan came across and went up to North Dakota and started, Mandan, North Dakota. So I'm sure they made it to Canada. I don't know if
Yeah.
they intermarried with the Micmac or not. I am a Micmac Native Canadian Aboriginal is what they call them, not Native. I'm not Native American, which is weird being from America, but I'm not. That's that. But I have one big piece of this puzzle because after English, I am almost half Welsh.
Almost half. So
Almost half.
you have the little bits and pieces here, and then like half Welsh.
Half Welsh. And then I'm
Wow.
Norman and like the English, of course, because it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then Scottish, Irish. So that makes sense. It's strange to me that this story is here and I see myself in those people. Like that blonde lady that I showed you, I have very high cheekbones. I have the moony eyes. Like I have
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff. I have hazel green eyes. It's a little weird, It's a little strange for me. Can I prove that? No. I'm making a case for the Mormons right now. So I definitely don't want to do that. That's weird. I'm backing up what they're saying about their DNA studies on old Joe. But it makes sense why they hid so much of his lineage for so long. They said, we just don't know. He's just Irish. Okay. Like, they didn't bring the story out till it kind of got blown out of the water. But, a lot of people have said, oh, Joseph Smith was just a trickster. He didn't know anything about anything because this guy, Solomon Spaulding, he wrote it. He wrote the Book of Mormon, and Joseph found it on a trip up to Canada. Why was he in Canada? Some crazy money-making scheme. Or was he visiting his brother-in-law who went and started the Seekers up in Canada and became a reverend? I don't know. Whatever.
Could be both, because why not?
Yeah, exactly. So,
I keep thinking about the Irish connection because, you have everyone makes this connection, like the tribes of Dan and the tribes of David, and that there are so many connections.
And these are called the Man Dan, the Man of Dan.
Oh, shit. Yeah. And
yeah,
then,
trust me,
Ireland,
I'm going down that road.
Aryan, one of the earliest forms of Christianity practiced.
Absolutely.
Was Aryan Christianity. I just did a show. Well, at least, talking about that a little with Brady from Apocalypse's Historia. He would love your stuff on
We should
Francis
chat
Bacon.
because I think he would really understand some of the Celtic Druidic ceremonies that Joseph Smith was doing.
He would, absolutely. I mean, his whole, Shakespeare, John Dee, Francis Bacon, he is he is all
I'm
about
all
that.
over it.
He would
Yeah.
absolutely love that. I'll
I would love that.
I'll shoot him a message that you two should
Wonderful.
really do a
We
thing together.
we need to, because I think it helps so much, like, when you bring something to the table that somebody else has, like, the other piece of your puzzle, you don't
Yeah.
have it, 'cause I
Oh no,
can't know all that.
he does.
Yeah.
He really is. The British and the Royals, and like I said, he has that
So
piece of the
interesting.
puzzle.
It's so interesting when you know that, it aligns 100% with the crown, and you're gonna see it time and time again. In fact, for those that don't know, and I put this on my, Instagram, I'll repost it when I know you post this show. There's a Druidic ceremony of Queen Elizabeth I getting inaugurated into a Druidic, cult, basically, on the August 6th. Why did that stand out to me? That's my birthday. So I noticed it because it came up on my birthday. I was just scrolling around and I was like, "Damn, girl, okay." I mean, I know your family with some people, but damn, okay, that's
And
weird.
the Druids, the four-leaf clover is also very much has the swastika in
Yep.
it. Well, they are all
And
about the rituals and ritualism.
the
Very
stuff that
Irish, very
have you
Scottish.
seen the stuff that I've done on the like the Mormon at Tame and the parchments and blood sacrifices?
Not yet. God, I have so much to catch
You're
up on.
good. It's okay. I'm just telling you, it it aligns. It aligns.
Uh,
100% it
of
aligns.
course it
Like,
does.
I'm just saying, I'm not shaming anybody's stuff, whatever they wanna do. Like I always say, you wanna be a naked nymph in the forest practicing magic? I don't give a shit. Go do it, but just don't do that to people that don't know what's happening. That's my whole beef with the Mormon Church is they are
Mhm.
using people in ceremonies and stealing their loosh, we'll just call it that, to use it to power the house. They're using it to charge the house. They're doing it to natives. They're
Yeah.
doing it to
Okay.
Hawaiians. They're doing it to other people, and it's wrong. That's crap. If you want to
Yeah.
charge your house all day long, go ahead. I don't care. Not my business. I don't care about that. I'm just over here in my corner doing my thing. I have respect for people that don't want to believe like I believe because I think it's important. I think it's important because we learn from one another, and I do believe we all have a piece to the puzzle. If I spend all day talking to just Christians, they're not going to know what I'm talking about. They're not
Hmm.
because it went weird, and I didn't make it weird. History did, so it's not my fault.
Yeah, no, that's
So.
true. And all the pagan, Anglo-Saxon, Nordic,
True Christianity
symbolism and stuff and everything. I mean, that's my people.
wasn't always evil, and they didn't use it for what people think. They used it for power. You know, and
I
Joseph
mean,
Smith is very into sun worship. You have to understand.
oh God, yeah, of course they
So,
are.
of
I
course,
mean,
and his
there
sign is
are.
Jupiter.
Oh yeah, sure. Which I mean, there are theories that Jupiter is like the original sun and everything because it's a huge gas giant.
Ta-da!
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, solar worship found all over the globe. It's pretty much the most ancient form of worship. The swastika. There's a
I'll
very
show.
famous painting of Thor with the swastika on his belt. It oh man, it connects to everything,
I'm
really.
gonna show you some things after this one. We won't do like a whole extra. I don't know how much time you have, but I'm gonna show you just like 4 or 5 slides of my Mormon occult one so you can see what I'm talking about because I think you'll be like, whoa. So,
Okay, yeah, sure.
but this Spalding case, I just want to tell people he went to Dartmouth. Okay. This guy that he supposedly stole the Book of Mormon from. And people either want me to believe two things. Okay. Because these two options are boring. I'm not doing it. All right. They either want me to believe that the angel Moroni came down and told Joseph everything and all this stuff, and it was benevolent, but he was not an angel. He was a dead guy that had once lived upon the earth. Is that an angel? No. It's
No,
not an angel. That's not the definition of an angel. Angels don't like us, PS. But like,
that's a Drauger.
right. It's an interdimensional, like Steiner talks about. And this is my thing. So either I'm supposed to believe that benevolent business, or I'm supposed to believe he is high as shit on drugs. Do I think a little bit of both is true? Mm-hmm. I do. Percent something like a toad. I mean, I think he saw a witch's, like, he's involved in witchcraft for generations upon generations, but are they using drugs with it? Yeah. I mean, riding the broomstick, like, okay, every prophet from like Joseph Smith on for a while has like a cane, and I don't ever want to touch those. Okay. Ever in my life. Because I
I mean,
don't even want to go there. Yeah.
geez, Crowley, when he like wrote all his stuff, he was. I mean, I bet like 99% of the times he was high as shit. Like
Exactly.
he was on so much drugs.
But I think that the magic works too. I believe, and people don't want me
I
to
mean,
believe
yeah,
this.
the drugs, it's certain drugs, more of the psychedelics, psychotropics, they will enable you to see beyond the veil. Nowadays, it is unfortunately also used as a like spiritual shortcut, if you will. Like,
Right.
I'm seeking
Open your,
enlightenment. I'm just gonna
yeah.
take a
Do
handful of
drugs.
shrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I do not agree with.
No,
And
you have to be
then there are
careful too.
certain. Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah,
PTSD, allergies, like there's all kinds of situations. So.
yeah, no, yeah. Um, oh God, especially with shrooms. That
Mhm.
reminds me of the show that I did with Clay Martin from the Barbarian Mannerbund. His experience with shrooms, it turned
It can
pretty
be
bad.
horrific. Yeah, it can
Yeah,
actually, my
yeah,
son got psychosis and stayed in it for a year because of shrooms and pot.
yeah.
That was it. Nothing hard, none of it. And he talks openly about it. That's why I bring it up. But I will say people need to be very careful because it can check you out. But don't you think that there is, look, if it was just the tripping, okay, do you think that it would have lasted for generations upon generations, or do you think it would have just died down and been like, yeah, just do some drugs. That's fucking cool. Like whatever. I think
No,
magic works. I know
yeah,
that's a bad. I know that people don't like that. They don't like this for me. But here's the problem. If you believe in God, you have to believe in the opposite of God, right? Everybody's fine believing in God. Nobody's fine about believing in other things. If you can believe in angels, can you believe in their counterpart? I
fallen
can.
angels. Yeah, I mean, it's the duality of this world. It
100%.
makes it makes sense. If the good is there, then the bad is too. If the up
Carl
is
Jung
there,
says
then
it. Carl Jung,
uh,
this psychiatrist everybody says is so wonderful. He talks about this in his 7 Sermons to the Dead. People need to read more. But
I mean,
he's
or
not
just
just talking about
his work.
drugs.
I mean,
Yeah.
just his work on the archetypes, which proves that like it is all true, and whether it is actual entities or just subconscious, collective consciousness. I've been really going down the young path lately, and
Jung
I'm
is so
still.
fascinating. Have you done the
God,
Golden
yeah.
Bough yet with it?
Not yet. No, I
Blow your mind.
started in his book on the archetypes just because of the very obvious connection that I see with Germanic polytheism. At the same
Yes.
time, I'm also reading Machiavelli, Il Principe, and
Yes.
just I'm reading a more fantasy kind of book because I don't need the heavy
Right.
stuff all the damn time.
Yeah, not all day. James Frazier is really hard. The Golden Bough with James Frazier is tedious at best. So even if you can find some podcasts about summaries or get the cliff notes of it, that's great. Like I haven't read the full on, it's like volumes and volumes. I didn't read that, not the
Yeah,
volumes and volumes, the other one. But it helps you understand a lot of things. It helped me understand a lot of things. And I do believe there are entities that can pass through not just consciousness, but for real. Because
yeah,
I read Steiner,
mm,
I read these other people that are occultists. Joseph Smith is included in this business. And I'm telling you guys, if it wasn't real, it would have gone away. They wouldn't do all the ceremonies. They would just do, like you
yeah.
said, just the shortcut. Why do all that? Why bother? It's stupid,
I
right?
mean,
Like we don't have to
especially
do that. Yeah. No, it's not.
yeah,
It
no,
means
especially
something.
Steiner work or his theories on the Ahrimanic spirits are
Yep.
really, especially with the rise of AI, people are are trying to connect AI to Ahriman. I believe there is a case for it. I'm not too sure. I know
Yep.
that in one of the circles that I'm in, at the round table from the Bush Whisperer Shaman, General Shinobi. He's a good guy. Systematic too is what is his channel. He really loves talking about the Ahrimanic stuff. I'm
Yes.
trying to get him on with Nick, because he also has a lot of stuff about the eye, and I know that Nick just the human body, physiology, etc. Like he's gone crazy
He's
deep
gone deep into it.
into that.
So fascinating. And for people, I mean, it really like you said, like, okay, they've already found a shortcut on like opening their third eye. Okay.
Yeah,
Don't you think they would have given up the cult aspect of things if that was all it was? Like, why do all this hard stuff? Because it is. And you need other people. It's like a joint effort. Like it's a whole thing. Okay. So if it didn't mean anything, the magic part, then why would everybody just not go do the drugs in the forest by themselves? That makes more sense, right? But
it'd be a
they
lot
don't.
easier, be a lot
But they
quicker.
don't. Right. And so that means it means something. So it can't just be tradition. It can't I don't buy it. I believe magic works just like I believe prayer works. I don't think you can have one without the other. I think that they go together. And I think there's plenty of times in the Bible even that it shows you that there are wonders. Okay.
I mean, I've heard some people say, I believe it might have been on Nick's show, that he had a former, was it like satanic priest or something on, that the old ladies in the back of the church with their rosary and counting the rosary, etc., that they are like more powerful magicians than like any half-baked occultist, because
Well,
they get shit done.
how would they get that done too?
I mean,
I know.
prayer, which is
No prayer.
it's
No prayer, not for that. Here's
no,
the deal.
I mean,
Sex magic, 100%. And why did they make the nun for the priest? Look, those people aren't celibate forever. They just were tired of getting syphilis, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, okay.
The Mormons were doing it too. And you know what they called it? Polygamy. So I just think that,
So like being a sexy nun for Halloween is kind of canon, if you
right.
will.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
That's my opinion. I can't prove it, but look, I'm just saying there's a couple ways to open divine doors. One is pure chastity, like all these things like benevolence, not pure as in you stay a virgin till you die, but like, okay, living benevolently, we'll just say that. And prayer and dedication and all this stuff, right? And then there's, like we've talked about, right? Duality and everything.
Mhm.
And there's the other way. Sabotage Zevi will tell you all about it and whatever. But I will say this, if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. People do it
No.
for sports. What do? Oh, don't have sex before your wrestling match. You're going to freaking mess up your shit, Like, whatever. Hold your essence. Like, there's all kinds of things that stem out of this. If it wasn't real, they wouldn't do it. What were the Nazis doing? Like, so that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But I'm just saying, like, people have figured it out over the course of time and use it to their advantage. Am I mad about it? No. Should they be honest? I think more honest than they are. Maybe not back in the day because they might have got their head chopped off or whatever. But like at this point, okay, people are hearing some really heinous stuff and it's just getting worse. Now, here's my thing about magic. Leave the animals and leave children under 18 alone. Don't force people. Otherwise, I would got no problem with you. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. I can't do anything about it, right? Like I have to respect the fact that people have different opinions and beliefs. That's just truth.
Yeah.
So
I mean, whatever you do in your own home, that's none of my
absolutely.
business.
As long as you're not abusing anything. Yeah. I don't
Exactly.
think, yeah. So that's the parts that I think would go away. I hope, okay, in my altruistic hope, I hope that it would go away if we could be more honest about it, right? If people were
But
just
it's
doing Saturnus Fraterni in their house, none of my business, whatever.
but it's so funny.
Okay,
Like
that
I
book was bad.
recently I just yesterday or 2 days ago at time of recording, I had Sadhu Da on for the second time, and he's really all about the the Thai magic and all of that, like really Eastern. And what he told me on the last show is that in Thailand, magic is just there. It's everywhere. It's
It's like
practiced
history. Yeah.
everywhere. Like you'll see, like in like pretty much every store you go to, the merchants have like an altar set up for the
Mhm.
I don't know, like god of commerce to like draw in the business and everything. He has met these these monks who had these incredible powers that they gained through meditation and all of that. And that,
More than meditation.
I mean, yeah, well, I mean, other stuff too, of course.
But
I mean,
of course,
that's how Buddha gained enlightenment, right? Under the tree,
absolutely. Yes.
doing
But
what,
everybody has to hide everything, right? Like, it's so funny to me that it's like people are so confused because we have one story for the initiated and one story for the uninitiated, and even some of us in between, because how could you know everything? Like you said, you're talking to a guy about Thai magic. I bet they know a lot of things you don't know, and you
Mhm.
know a lot of things I don't know. And, it goes on and on. We should never stop learning. But I want to say this came over here, right? And then people started pointing fingers at everybody, including even the writing of the Book of Mormon, right? Because Solomon Spalding apparently had this friggin' manuscript and they found it and they're like, look, Joseph Smith just copied this. Okay, that's one narrative. But my narrative is, and I'm probably going to write a book about this, is that they were all being taught by the same professor. And he's really into Armenian studies, okay? He's learning all this stuff and there's Rosicrucian ties and all of this matters because if that was the same, maybe they all took the same class because they did. Solomon Spalding was also at Dartmouth underneath Professor Johnny Smith. Okay. And
Huh.
so was Hiram Smith. And Hiram and his family with Joseph were living on campus at this time. So he's probably bringing books home because Joseph is very sick at this time. He got typhoid fever. And what do you bring a kid that is going banana bonkers in his house because he can't go anywhere or do anything and there's no TV? You're going to bring him books. You
Well,
are.
yeah.
And so, his uncle's the rare book stealer. He's the librarian. I'm sure he has access. My questioning is not that, or not questioning, my assertion is that they all had the same notebooks because they all took the same class. If you and I took biology 101 and we both took the notes off of the chalkboard, identical because it's the same teacher, we're taking the same notes. Your handwriting might be shorthand or we might write it a little different, but it's probably still going to be the same. And ultimately that comes from this book of Maddog that they're probably teaching there. Okay. I think I've made a pretty good case of that.
Yeah.
And Wheelock is aligned with Jesuits and Rosicrucians, i.e. Templars and Okay, come on. And they're just teaching this. This is like college criteria, okay, basically. So, no, I don't think Solomon Spalding wrote it. I don't think it was copied. I also don't think it was just a thought. Everybody wants to blame Scottish Freemasonry. It's stupid. It's not that. It was too new. It was too new here, okay?
Yeah.
The thing that they were practicing as practitioners of magic at that time was most likely Martinism because they were practitioners, okay? And on 2 times of the year, they believed that they could go out and talk to spirits, okay? And one of the time was the fall equinox and the spring equinox. And when did
Yeah.
Joseph Smith go out and talk to his angel? It was on the fall equinox. He did a quarter moon ceremony. So I'm just saying, like, come on. Like,
It's
it's stupid. It makes it stupid. It makes it silly that they didn't get the knowledge and they say, I'm going to go try it for myself. They probably did.
well, yeah.
Like,
I mean, if
why
you're,
wouldn't you?
I mean, I did that even without really knowing what I was doing. Like in my early 20s, I heard about some stuff, read about some stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna try this. Because why
And
not?
that's what happens, right? Exactly. And
And then
this
I
church,
smartened up and eventually did
yeah,
learn that I shouldn't be doing it this way, but should be doing it that way as a good
hmm
practitioner, someone who does their research and wants to learn.
right.
So if
But you
we're
got to
doing it
figure it out
now, why
somehow.
wouldn't they be doing it then?
Exactly. And his uncle is teaching this church, okay, the Church of Christ. This is like the first churches were called the Church of Christ that were Latter-day Saint affiliated. This is what they were
Mm.
called. But I want to tell you what their Bible, well, one of the Bible components, okay, their Bible, Joseph Smith's Golden Bible, the Book of Mormon. What was that originally called? With some of his notes, and the D&Cs are in it and everything. He called it, I wish I could see your face right now. Hold on. Let me see how many slides I have left because I think this will be funny.
Okay.
Hold that thought.
Mhm.
Okay, hold that thought. I'll tell you in a second. But the Macs go on and marry into the Native Americans, okay? And there's a lot of things going on with this whole situation. He founds Mactown, Illinois, and he marries into the tribe, wasn't supposed to acquire lands that way, but his wife is acquiring lands underneath treaties that he is negotiating with the government, but they're poor dumb farm people that don't know anybody.
Yeah, no, of
Cool
course.
story. Cool story, bro. But these people end up with tons of land. His children end up getting money from some of these treaties, and he ends up with the land because people were dying. So, yeah, it's very strange. So, I'm just saying, put that in your back pocket, you guys, because we're going to be talking about her way later on my history podcast and him as well. But you can see how they're integrating into every piece of America. Like if the natives own it, well, we've got natives. Oh, they sent people to Hawaii to marry into the royal family, the Mormons did, and of Hawaii. So they got that too. And then they are literally putting their foot and they're doing land grabs. Like, they're not stupid.
And
And
I absolutely love the depiction. I love the freaking symbolism in it. Put the pair within the Vesica Pisces.
oh yeah.
Of course.
And the sacred marriage and
Yeah. The alchemical
it's all
marriage and
it's all
all
there.
that.
It's
Yeah.
and guess what, by the way, just randomly, by the way, Joseph Smith's first baby was born horribly deformed and only lived moments. Okay, cool story, bro. His brother, the firstborn son, he died right before Joseph got to talk to the angel, and then they dug him up. Okay, we'll talk about that another day.
Mm.
These people, they apparently couldn't keep their babies alive either. Go figure. Whatever. We know where they're getting their blood from. That's all I know. It's
Oh.
not a sheep. Okay. Like, yeah, it's just serious. And I don't, like I said, do whatever you want unless it comes to kids and animals. That crosses the line. Okay.
Mhm.
So for people that don't believe me, here's this little piece of history, 1798 to 1850, known as the founding father of Rockton, Illinois. This is Stephen Mack Jr.
Whoa.
The settlement became known as Mactown. He became known as a successful fur trader and businessman, eventually claiming 1,000 acres of land where he built his trading post and tavern. He built the bar. It's hysterical. And a bridge builder across Rock River. So there's
1,000
that.
acres. That's
It's a lot.
that's a good chunk.
Oh, it was.
Wow.
It's massively big and cursed, apparently. Almond Mack, this is also a part of the family cousin. He served as a state legislature, but they're dumb farmers. Don't worry. He was a successful merchant in Rochester, Michigan, where he also served as the township supervisor, justice of the peace. He single-handedly drafted and pushed through a bill chartering the Pontiac and Laper Plank Road. Okay, right. I'm just proving my point that they're not dumb farmers that aren't settlers that don't mean anything. Like, we kind of have to get that through, because that's the Mormon story. That's what they say. They say that this is all baloney, and
No.
they're just hiding it. Yeah. And then this right here, so people can see the book and everything that I'm going off of here, while creating season 4, show 5 on the grandfathers of Joseph Smith Jr. I learned that the prophet Joseph had 7 ancestors on the Mayflower. You don't say. And that both of the grandfathers were Revolutionary War veterans, actually heroes, and one of them actually helped draft up the Boston Tea Party, but that's fine. Why don't they talk about them? Well, because they hung some witches, but yeah, whatever. So Oziel Smith, that's his grandpa's name. You like that name? It's not with a Z, but it's great.
Uh,
Okay, perfect.
that's
Oziel. Yeah.
that's a great name,
The-
especially in connection to Solomonic magic. Yeah,
That's a name. That's a name. And Hiram. Hiram was spelled just like Hiram Abiff, just so people know. And, this family came from a family of seekers and that they were willing to challenge established traditions. So I'm not making it up. You guys can go check it out.
challenge established traditions.
That's right.
Well, all of us watching, I think we've lived long enough now to and lived through enough to understand what challenging traditions means.
Might mean you're a witch.
Might mean
Back
that
then.
you got to go.
Yeah, I think they were, the people that actually were doing the witchcraft is methinks you protest too much, right? I think they were the ones doing the accusing, in my personal opinion, but that's
I
just
mean,
me.
then for the two families to get together and like
6
stay together.
generations.
6 generations. Come on, that was not by accident.
No.
I'm willing to believe a lot of things. I'm willing to believe. I'm willing to give a lot of things the benefit of the doubt. Not that 6 generations. That's too much.
It's
One
a
on
mark.
one. You've been through a lot of stuff together, and you grew close and all of that. And yeah, okay, it happens. That can happen. Sure. Second generation. I don't know. Like the families grew up together. Yeah, sure. Third generation. It's getting a little sus. Fourth, fifth, sixth.
Exactly.
No, sorry.
I think they had a I found some information. I don't just think. I found some historical data that states that they had a reason why they were doing what they were doing. That Joseph Smith was actually and his family were involved in aspiring, which is really weird. Also, they were involved with learning Hebrew from one of the most prominent Ashkenazi families that came here that were really in deep with George Washington himself. So they were actually at the inauguration of George Washington. Very, very important family, SEIXAS, the Sykes family, and the Levy family, Levy. So we see this, and their son is doing what? Teaching the poor dumb farm boy that can't read or write English how to speak Hebrew.
And the
Okay.
the Ashkenazis, also known for their very
From Portugal.
European look, blonde hair, blue eyes.
And from Portugal. Yeah.
God, yeah, of course.
Yeah, the Portugal Inquisition. He came here, it was a whole thing. But and I've done some shows on that. I'm going to get deeper into it. But guess what they did for a living stuff? Banking. And what did Joseph Smith's uncle go take off and do that did make good money and all that? Well, he became a banker. He was involved in a huge bank scandal. So it's interesting. We see it time and time again, but these are founding fathers of America. And yes, Mormons are part of that. And people need to understand they're a lot more important than some silly book.
Now I'm wondering, like, not even if, but what the Rothschild connection would be, because
it's there.
That family, the old
Yes.
Rothschild, he sent his sons pretty much across Europe to establish banks.
And babies. Did you read that one?
That helps.
They said to have a baby everywhere they went, why they were establishing the banks. Actually, that was Daddy's advice.
That sounds very much like something that the Mormons would do as well.
And they did. But the Rothschilds are deeply aligned with the Mormon church. They visited the Queen very early on in some of their first missions before 1900, and they were very involved in banking. And it, transfers over clear into Jesuit country when we get into
Yeah.
David M. Kennedy later. And he's best friends with a guy named, do you know who Michelle Sindona is? God's banker, the banker for not only the Pope, but actually Onassis, which goes into Howard Hughes. And it's a whole thing. Like
Jackie Onassis?
Yep, her husband, he's a big deal.
Oh.
He was Greek, by the way. Super fun. His name was Aristotle.
Of course it was.
His son's name is Alexander, and
now,
his father's name.
Greeks. And now we had, what was it, like after the 2008 crisis, I believe there was this whole thing with Greece being bankrupt and the IMF stepping in, and they're not able to pay back their loans, and
it's wild. I mean, so Aristotle married Artemis.
What, like, actually?
Yeah, I'm not playing. They had Christina and Alexander, and his father, he was very important as well, and his father's name was Socrates. So there's that.
Come on.
I know. It's a lot.
It's
a lot.
It's almost cringe. Like I'm freaking cringe. I'm cringing here. Like,
wait until I show you the picture of who I think JFK Jr.'s dad really was. I'll show it to you.
Oh, brother.
Oh, yeah. So this is the Smith ceremonial magic dagger, which, I mean, you'll probably recognize a lot of this. This is a Mars dagger. But this is no folk magic. People like to say what they were practicing was folk magic. My eye. Here is one of their parchments that they had in their family. Let's see.
That is.
You like it?
Icelandic. Those are Icelandic
sigils. Let me go down. There we go. The holiness to the Lord. Which Lord? I don't know.
I mean,
anyway.
The first two are. I mean, people are definitely going to confuse them with Viking symbols. They're not Viking symbols. That's
absolutely.
That's Icelandic. That's Icelandic occult.
So looks really innocent, hey? He's doing Solomonic magic too here. He's calling down specific angels.
Yeah.
This is very John D-esque. Like, people can do with it what they want, but this is straight out of Sibley's Book of Witchcraft. The two on there, the previous one. See, there.
Yeah,
those
are definitely Icelandic sigils.
And it says, whoso beareth this. Okay, because people will say, no, he was just trying to protect himself. Okay, wait, that's not what that says. Whoso beareth this sign, right? Let no man fear him, and he will feel no one but God. But also it says, whoso beareth this, the spirits shall pay him homage, do him homage. And so he wasn't just protecting himself. Homage isn't protection. Okay.
That sounds Solomonic.
Oh, it is. It's 100% Solomonic. And I think that it needs to be exposed as such because what they like to call it is folk magic. This is what they do. So
no, this goes deeper than folk magic. I know folk magic. Come on. Like that's what I practice.
It's not that. I mean, are there aspects of it? Yeah. But does it go way deeper? They're talking about sacrifices, all kinds of crazy stuff. This is one of the symbols we do in the temple. You might recognize it.
Yeah.
Because why is this in a Christian movement? Look at the thumb. It's direct. This is no accident. Yeah. This isn't just raise your hand. This is what we wear, by the way.
I mean, that's not how you would naturally raise your hands. That's
the true order of prayer, don't you know?
That's symbolic.
Yes, it is. So when we get into all of this stuff and we get into the symbols and we get into the magical dagger and the parchments, there's more of the parchments. Let's see, where's the other one? Here's his Jupiter talisman. He died with this in his pocket. We have a confirmation from his wife that it was his.
Yeah, that's the cube. Yeah.
It's the pentacle. It's
symbol for Saturn.
the
Yeah.
third pentacle. This is the exact. It comes from the Magus. We know this because there's a slight error on his little pentacle. What do you call it? Talisman. That's the word. There's an error in the Magus, and it's copied over. So we know that's where he got it from because it's not in the other books. It's like a slight error. Yeah. So, but it says, this will protect, yes, but it says it protects who? Those who invoke,
And
cause the spirits to come. He's not just protecting himself. Let's get real.
When they
It's
appear,
definitely the
show
keys
unto
of
them
Solomon.
this pentacle,
Oh,
and
sorry.
immediately they will obey.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that's what Solomon was doing.
Yes, absolutely, with his ring. And so, we are not seeing something that's just backwoods,
No.
folk, whatever. This is not that. And when we also see this is the one of the other parchments.
Yeah. Oh, the Templars cross.
Look at the spiral. I mean, yes, it's just the name of Jehovah over in different languages,
No, but
it's
the spiral is so important.
yes, pulling it down. Do you know we have a giant spiral here in Utah? Giant. Like, I'm going to have to go out to it and take a picture. It's art, but it's called the spiral jetty. It's exactly the same. And which way is the spiral growing? Exactly the same. And why does that matter? Because they're pulling from above to below, right? They're not doing the other way. They're not sending energy upward.
It's counterclockwise, so you're you're pulling it.
So we see this time and time again. This is Jubanlades, which John D talks about. These spirits and different things all come from magic. This is not, this is high magic. This is not magic. This is not silly.
No.
Not that it's silly. Let me rephrase that. It's not just folk magic. How about that? It's multiple things. And it's serious because even practitioners, a lot of them will say, don't do Solomonic magic unless you know what you're really doing, right? Because it can be dangerous. So,
hell yeah. I mean, like calling upon the names of God, even if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know what the ramifications can be, how to protect yourself. I mean,
and purity. And it is literally what Crowley was doing.
Yeah.
So people don't understand, like he would go through times of crazy sex wildness and he would sometimes like a monk. Well, there's a reason. Like there's a reason for all of it, like purity and all this stuff. Like I don't pretend to know everything about magic, but I've studied a little bit about this, just because of the context, obviously. But this is a rendition from the neighbor talking about what happened one night when they went out digging for treasure in the middle of the night. And this is what the dad did.
Why would you need a circle of protection?
Because they said it will make the spirits mad that they're trying to find their treasure. But there's a lot more going on here than that.
Okay.
I think, in my opinion. But far be it from me to say I know. I'm just saying there's more at stake here when one of the different neighbors say they slit their black sheep's throat and bled it all over the circle. How about that?
I mean, it even looks in this picture like they're just digging into the inner circle, which is another type of symbolism that's, something can be said for it.
If you could cover up what you were doing by saying you were digging for treasure, that's a pretty great way to cover it up.
Yeah.
Back then,
Sure.
Because it was like a thing. So funny enough, they never did find any treasure because they weren't really looking for any. They were known to use dowsing rods and all kinds of different magical things.
That's folk magic.
Yeah, that's folk magic. But there's a lot of other things that are high magic. And even Joseph's serpent cane, which I found fascinating, was the one of another original magician, not Solomon. Can you think of one? I can. They say it was Moses. They say, I don't know. In the old stories and the snakes and
yeah, because his cane supposedly turns into a snake, into a serpent.
Yes.
Oh, that is creepy.
here is the other markings on it down below. So, yeah, it's weird. It gets weird.
The crowns that like kind
With
of
the
looks
three
like
eyes.
yeah,
And an
looks like
upside down cross.
scales of some kind. Looks like
I
it.
bet it is because it's a serpent, you know, like this. But they're a polygod people. Like they believe
Really?
in a mother in heaven, a father in heaven, and Jesus Christ, and that's all separate. But they never talk about mother in heaven. They only talk about also the Holy Ghost, not spirit, ghost, as a separate being as well. And that God came down and actually impregnated Mary. And people don't like to hear this story, but this is the original story of the Mormons. They don't say this now because it would be bad, but that's what they say. So back in the day, they don't say it
Sure.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like they can't, you know, it's bad now. But whatever the case may be, I can say this. Look, Mormon church, I don't care what you do. Stop lying to people and telling them you're a normal Christian or tell them what kind of Christian you are. Like, let's have some clarity for the old grandmas in the back, please. Like, yeah, he used a seer stone for all of it, you know. He had multiple seer stones, but this was supposedly his favorite one, my ass. He used a white one that they've never let anyone take a picture of that's hidden in the vaults underneath the temple in the tunnels. That is my guess is the important
Yeah.
one. But
I mean,
whatever. They let us
this
take a picture of
this
this
was
one.
probably one of. I mean, if this was that
Many.
important, they wouldn't have. We wouldn't know about it. That's what what I say about all the stuff that is like in the news or coming out and all of that. It's like if they were really such major players, we wouldn't know about them.
No, absolutely not. No way. Because my grandpa used to get in a fair amount of trouble when I was young. And he used to tell me all the time, if you ever meet somebody and they say that they're so cool because they've been to jail or whatever and they brag about it, he's like, they were a punk. That's what he used to tell me. Because no important person would ever brag about shit. That didn't happen.
No.
And he's like, the only way you can keep a secret between three people is to kill the other two. And I was like, okay, Grandpa, that's good. That's enough stories for today.
It's solid advice. Not condoning it. Not condoning it. Still solid advice. It works. I'll say that.
I mean, for entertainment purpose only, but pretty funny.
Yeah.
So Joseph had a magic hat, just so you know. He did carry the layman's in his layman pouch around his neck, which are the parchments I showed you, and the rock. And this is all actually documented because he got involved in a court case over it and got in trouble. And so this is all like legitimately documented. This is all real. And then the prophet of the church pulled out his magic hat that I never knew existed, there it be, and took a picture with it. This guy lived till he was 101. I'm just letting you know. Do you think they really didn't figure it out? Because I do. So
101. I mean, respect. But there are very few people who live to that age.
And do you know what? Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. I can't prove anything. But his daughter was involved in some very interesting scandals, including satanic ritual abuse. So,
and if they're so obsessed with the blood and keeping it pure and all that, I mean, there's
a fair amount of knowledge in those pieces of the puzzle. You know, I was going to ask you about this word because this is what this is how they pray, how they get around an altar. And I'm sure it's full of bones or bone powder or something. Anyway, whatever. They bring their hand to the square. They do the Typhonian as well. They do these different things. But they say, oh God, hear the words of my mouth now. But they used to say something. They used to say, Pe-le-el. Pe-le-el. And they say it's Old Hebrew, but I thought it would be okay to ask you if that means anything to you or if you're at liberty to say.
Pe-le-el. No, it doesn't.
Put it in your back pocket and just see later if if you hear anything here or there. These are the mirrors that you look into when you promise you're going to get married for not just time here on earth, for time and all eternity. You look into these mirrors and you swear that, and they are facing each other. Here, let me show you here. Also, always green at the end.
Yeah. I mean, it is. That's what they use in scrying.
Right?
as
right?
well.
And so if we truly believe in spirits, okay, and I do, if you're doing this during a heightened sexual time in your life, because here's the thing about Mormon kids, they get married early, so they've never had sex. So they know as soon as they leave this room, half of them don't
It's
even make it to the reception because they're so, you know.
it's
So
on
this
like Donkey Kong.
Yes. And so that energy, that tension that we know that alchemical marriage brings, right? Like this is
Mm.
happening during your real marriage ceremony, okay? And they are so funny about making sure you try to stay like really a virgin before you get married. I think it's
And
for this purpose.
and then when you
Again,
get married, it's just like
altar.
the first broom closet you see. It's just like,
Yeah.
let's go.
But before that would be the epitome of the tension, right? Like right now, when they're
Yeah.
looking into these mirrors, are they attaching spirits onto these people? I've always thought that because we go and do this same ceremony. You do it once for yourself, you get married for yourself once, but then
Mm.
you get married for dead people by proxy. You pretend me and you go, pretend you're there and I'm there, and you're just there alone and I'm there alone. They might pair us up together to do this ceremony for Bobby and Jane who have been dead. And you get to be Bobby and I get to be Jane. And we literally act out the whole thing, the whole deal by proxy. So I am Jane that day and you are Bobby that day. And they do the same thing as if those
I mean,
people
if they
were
do
alive.
baptism for the
They
dads,
they
then
do.
marriage for the dads.
They do.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yes, because are those names then pulled in and attached on? Like it makes you really want, or at least it makes me wonder. I don't know.
Mm.
It's fascinating to me, but also it scared me for a long time.
Yeah,
I
I can
mean,
imagine. I can imagine.
here's what those papers would look like. This is an example of one that they did. They did this one. Adolf Hitler, they sealed him to his parents for time and all eternity, as well as did his endowments for him in the temple. Could you imagine getting that name that day? Like, oh, I'm Hitler today. That's cool. Um,
Yay.
whoa. Yeah, that would be
Can,
weird.
can, can we like re-roll maybe? Like, is there not
That would
another
be,
name in the
yeah.
Rolodex?
I don't know how I feel about that. Not that he's such a bad guy, but it would be awkward. I mean, he was a bad
Yeah.
guy, but he was an actor. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. A
It
figurehead.
is what it is. Yeah, I can't. Okay, so here is that language that he wrote. Okay, so the top one is Enochian, all right? The bottom one here is an example of the characters for the Book of Mormon, and they are very similar to not only Coptic Welsh, but also to the Micmac language. And so, you know, when we
It's
look at this, that makes me even further believe that it stayed with those native people, that he really did come here and it stayed with those native people. And one thing I've kind of
yeah.
wondered, I mean, so I told you the original name of the guy that got married into the Native American family down there.
Mhm.
His last name was originally Mack because that is Joseph Smith's mom's last name, Lucy Mack Smith, or her original name. So if you put together an Irishman, what do they call an Irishman? Like
Yeah.
that's a Mick,
Yeah.
right? And a Mac, a Micmac. I
That's
don't know.
and
That
yeah,
one's
the,
just
the
a
the
thought.
Mac is very Scottish, Mac this, Mac that,
It makes you
Mac
wonder. Yeah, it
Mac
makes you wonder.
McDonald's, the Golden Arches.
Yes. It just really makes you step back and go, and Madoc, right? Like it's all very weird, but
Mm,
needless to say, if people are familiar with
yeah, that
Enochian and you
is
look at the bottom, it's very
that
similar.
is very
So
Coptic indeed. It also reminds
100.
me of Greek in a way.
Here,
I
let
mean,
me.
especially the
I wished I could show. It's this
the
bottom one in the yellow. The top one is
yeah.
Enochian for comparison.
I mean, the
So
P
it's
like very much
strange.
looks like the Omega
Yep.
symbol. So yeah, very Coptic. Absolutely.
So those are kind of from my other, examples of what we do and things there. But, they also dug Joseph Smith's brother up, and then they ran it in the newspaper a bunch because they were like, "Hey, just in case you saw us outside digging up our brother, we had to dig him up because you guys said we dug him up and did something weird. We didn't. We're just proving it to you." And I'm like, "Oh, that helps your case." I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
clearly it was ran in the Palmyra, and then they went ahead and made. I thought I had the sticks on here, but maybe this is a newer one, an older one. They made some sticks. They also dug up Joseph Smith, and they made something called the Cult of the Black Sticks. Isn't that fun? And the Cult of the Black Sticks is the wood from the oak, which will be really important when you understand about the Irish and James Fraser and all this stuff and Jupiter. But the oak coffins that they buried in, and they buried Hiram and Joseph in those, and then they dug them up because, as one does, apparently, and they made coffin canes out of their putrid, grody juices. That's probably why they're black. Nasty business all over of the rotting. And then, they took some hair and they put that in the top of the cane and sealed it shut and gave them to everybody for a souvenir.
Oh, that is.
I can't. And they're
I-
like, "It's totally Christian. What's wrong with you?"
That was not any kind of Christian that I'm familiar with.
Definitely not folk either. That's not folky either. That's
No,
further.
that's. I mean, I know
That's
that
something
certain that certain of those practices are done in the East, but that's
Yes.
more for karmic purposes,
Yeah.
not necessarily, making a walking stick out of your loved one. That's kind of
Yeah,
creepy.
they kept them. They're in a museum. I have a photo. I just couldn't find it right then. But
I lost my brother a few years ago. I can't imagine,
Me
like
too.
pulling him out and making a walking stick out of him.
But you know
That's
that they dig people up a lot, like for magical purposes. They need bones. And if you've ever
Yeah.
read The Serpent and the Rainbow, and you know about high magic there, like especially in Haiti and different places, like they do. They
Yeah,
use that
yeah.
and they grind it into a powder, and it gets weird, so it makes one wonder.
That's still done in Africa, like we were speaking about albinos
Yep.
earlier. They are
Yep.
Killed, ground up, quite literally.
Just like the redheads. Yep, they go
Yeah,
after them
'cause,
redheads too.
that you
Yeah.
have these, magical.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. So my last fun fact I wanted to see your face for. I thought this would be a fun one. So one of Joseph Smith's journals was turned into a book that plugged into pieces of the Book of Mormon later.
Mhm.
And I wanted to share it with you because James Strang, one of the separators from the church, also wrote his holy book and called it the same thing. So I thought I would share it with you because it's way before Crowley's time. And it's called The Book of the Law of the Lord. And Crowley loved Joseph Smith, just so you know. There's a
Yeah.
whole bunch of stuff about him in The Moonchild. And yeah, the Book of
Yeah.
the Law
Oh,
of the Lord. You can't make it up.
I mean,
And also the one crazy guy that was a dissenter but still wrote another Book of the Law of the Lord. And he was Mormon, and he made his own little section of it. Jesse James Strang, pretty cool name, related to him too. But yeah,
as of course.
it's all over the place. Well, actually, it was his wife that dressed up as a tranny, but that's fine. Whatever. She was hiding because they weren't supposed to be polygamists. And so she was his cousin. But until she got pregnant, I mean, then they couldn't,
I mean, you can hide that up to a certain point, but
Yeah, it gets
after
difficult.
a while, it gets quite difficult.
But he started his section, and he called it the Halcyon Illuminati with the Book of the Law of the Lord. Do you like my story today?
It's
It's a good one.
I have no words. I have no
Right.
words. This is all.
I had none. When I started, it just went. Every time I would find a space, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this history thing about Joseph, and I'm going to start at Joseph. And then I was like, wait, well, maybe I should start at his mom and dad. And then I was like, what is this Salem witch trial shit? What? I never heard this before. So then I'm like, okay, we definitely got to include that. And then the next thing I knew, I was at the Mayflower, but it even goes further back. Like I told you about the Nile of the Nine in Egypt. So I'm like, do I start at friggin' the beginning of time? I don't know. Yeah. It's a lot.
Oh man, now I'm even thinking about my hometown, because it was my hometown of Leiden Leiden, the Netherlands, where that was like the last stop before the people went on to the Mayflower, something that very little Americans
Oh,
know.
I bet you
actually.
money there's Mormons involved in that story.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we have a pilgrim museum. It is the I believe the Mayflower bookshop that is established by a Jewish person, I
Oh,
believe.
You mean like
Because of course it
this?
is.
It's not Sykes's, right? Remember our Jewish connection
I
and the
don't
levies.
know. I
We
mean,
should.
they have the plaque
What
in the
about
wall, of course. I
Hyde?
can.
White.
Oh, that one is surprising. I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go back to my hometown. It's only like a 20, 30-minute drive, and
The Mormons
gives me an excuse to go there.
they
And
run
we
around
have
all over. Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me.
and we have a well, we kind of have our own Skull and Bones society,
Ooh,
because of
what's
course
it called?
Minerva.
That's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course it is.
yeah, and its symbol, of course, being owl.
Well,
And
the Mormons.
our university is the oldest in the country. In a matter of years, actually, it'll celebrate or has already celebrated like 450 years,
Oh
and
wow.
it's like the go-to university in the Netherlands if you want to study law.
Well, the Mormons had the one that they did in Utah instead of Allen Key, or I mean Scroll and Key, theirs is Allen Key, like the owl. And
Yeah.
a bunch of people in the original Mormons, their middle names and first names are Minerva. Would you know it?
Wait,
You
key
know
as
it.
in
Like Scroll and Key and Owl and Key. Yeah.
okay,
And then
because
the one in
the
Chicago
symbol
is Owl and Snake.
because the symbol or symbols really for the city of Leiden are two keys crossed,
Yes, of
red
course.
keys on a white background, set to symbolize the keys to the two remaining gates of the city. And now I'm kind of questioning that, and I also have the key tattooed on my arm. Of
I'll
course.
have to look. I think it's the same. No, it's an owl sitting on the key, like as a branch on here. And then the other one, I can't remember about the other one that because they say it went away in Chicago. No, it didn't.
Yeah,
No
of course it
way.
did.
No way. That owl and serpent. I think there are keys in that one, and so it gets really interesting. And just FYI for your listeners, since this will be a fun fact for them, the first temple in Europe that was ever built for the LDS Church was the Bern, Switzerland temple, Bern.
Yeah.
And that is one of their pioneering ones there. So there's that.
Okay,
Do you know
so
where that is? I don't know where that is.
I found. I mean, I think this might be an older logo for Minerva. If my browser wants to cooperate, thank you. Let's see. I believe this is an older logo, but still, it's the.
This is the same.
Sure.
This is the. Oh my gosh. Okay, Google Scroll and Key, Utah. Wow.
I don't know if it want to. Okay, Scroll and Key.
Utah. Or Allen Key. Sorry, Allen Key. Sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Allen
it's
Key.
okay.
Scroll and Key said, yeah. Symbol or whatever.
I might have to use a different search engine.
Allen Key's symbol or logo, Utah.
Yeah,
University of Utah.
I'm using Brave browser. I'll use Google. I think I'll get better results.
Same. I don't know if you can.
God, yeah, it pretty much is. Yeah.
It's an owl on a key. It's exactly identical.
Yeah. Can I open it in a new
So that's the same. The thing about the Illuminati is people don't understand that nobody died in the Illuminati. He just went to a different castle and lived out his life. So,
I mean, probably, yeah.
No, really, it's documented. Yeah, like it's documented. This is the same.
This is very, very reminiscent. Like even with the big eyes.
Guess where Brigham Young was? His heritage was from over there. So I
Yeah,
can't
of course
remember
he was.
exactly. I think he was a Dutch. So I'll find out. But yeah, I haven't done Brigham Young yet as far as my history because I'm so swamped into Joseph's family line right now that I'm like, whoa. And so every time I find out something else about Brigham, I'm like, okay, Joseph Smith's stuff is crazy enough. I'm sure Brigham's is going to be insane. But I think, the thing about this is with the Illuminati and even Jesse James Strang naming his the Illuminati, this was a problem. And he was assassinated by his own people. But guess who picked him up? The US government, the people that killed him.
Yeah, of
They
course they
helped them
did.
escape. They just happened to be there. He said the quiet part out loud. You can't do that. So did Joseph,
And I have this is the herald of my
Oh, okay.
city. We got the Dutch lion, the cross keys.
You know what they called Brigham Young? The
I don't
Lion
know.
of the Lord. Want to bet you're
For crying
Mormon?
out loud. Yeah, and then a very, what is it, like broadsword, kind of Arabic, scimitar looking.
Very interesting.
And
I think there's a lot of Swiss connects. In fact, I know there is some because I studied it.
and this is also what you'll see if you go to the old borough. There's a very old borough on top of a man-made hill, of course. It's looking out all over the city, all over the important parts, among which a factory that had mainly orphans, of course. Because of course. Yeah, and it's this huge wrought iron gate with the lion and the shield with the cross keys on top of it, and that's when you get into like the old part of the city.
Well, so the hill Cumorah, where Joseph Smith supposedly found the plates, is a hill, not a mountain, but it definitely looks like a mound. And then they had a cave. They were doing weird stuff in there. So yeah, it's very interesting. There's always mounds involved in all of this, isn't there?
Yeah. So I found a good picture.
Oh, good. I love it. This is funny how, see, you talk to somebody and then you're like, oh, there it is. Yeah, exactly. Well, some of the people they brought over here, it gets interesting. I did mention Peter Till's great uncle they brought his great uncle over from Germany. They were bringing people over left and right from everywhere. And Brigham Young's family was one of the pioneers that came from, that area. I can't remember. I know when I was reading it, she was like, he's a Swissy. I don't know which one, which exact one, because I can't remember. It's been a minute, but he definitely was involved with all of that. And so it just makes you step back and know, like, this was created. And I mean this as in America. I don't mean the Mormons. I mean, there's a situation at hand and they did what they said they were going to do. So for those people that are worried about, the New World Order coming, you missed the boat. It was the Mayflower. So
yeah. And
boy,
apparently the pastor and spiritual leader for the Pilgrim Fathers in Leida was John Robinson.
I'll be looking that up. The Auerbach brothers, I know, were part of Brigham Young's family. Let's see who else. Niebauer.
Bach, as in Bach Saga.
Bach. But yeah, I'm telling you this. I do believe there's a strong Sabbatean link here. I can't prove it. And for people, it makes sense though. Think about that. And then when they split off, there was multiple groups of people that continued the old ways when the rest of the Mormon church went, yeah, we've had enough war. We'll stop doing weird shit. Like, we just want to have a Federal Reserve and we'll be your new crypto Mormons. Crypto mo.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. And so, it definitely makes you like step back and go, okay, yep, I see that. All right, that's strange.
Oh, John Robinson
So,
is actually buried in Leiden near the Peter's Church.
oh, wow. Well, I'm telling you, things are stranger than fiction. That's 100%. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't make it up. It's just crazy. Oh, I may have found it. Let's see. Nope. Nope. I thought that was the one that was going to tell me about Brigham. I have so many. If anything ever happens to me, my phone will be a nightmare for whoever inherits it. It's like 10,000 screenshots. It's terrible. But yeah, these lines, I mean, clearly this was planned, and in
Yeah.
my opinion, they did it together. And yeah, there's early Rothschild financing. Let's see, that was 1876 when he went to see the Queen. Also, before the Balfour Declaration, they sent Orson Hyde to the Mount of Olives to actually plant a flag there and dedicate that area for the church. So does that mean they own it? Because that's how things used to work. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Yeah. That's kind of
26.
concerning.
So 100 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which now also comes into question.
Yes.
Like, are you actually independent, or,
I don't
very
think so.
blatantly still under the rule of the crown? I mean, of
Well-
course, the US still is, in a way.
I mean, all of the major mines here, at least in Utah that I know of, the major ones are not owned by America. They're owned by the crown. So how much land do they have to buy to own America is my question. Because that's concerning to me.
I mean, if the crown still has
Oh, they
full
own it.
rights, has land
Mhm.
rights
They do.
to America, they don't have to buy the land. The land is theirs.
Absolutely. And why do I know absolutely? I know at least one because my husband works there.
Yeah, of course.
So I know that one for a fact because I know where those paychecks come from. So there's that one. And the Godbys, the Godbyites, they were a very occultic, table tapping, very strange branch of their own Mormonism. And he sold all his silver mines and land to the crown as well. And these live on today. Godby started his drilling and he didn't know where to drill. So guess what? He table tapped and asked where. The spirits told him where, and he hit it rich. Fun. That's a real story. It can't get weirder.
Knocking on wood.
Right. I don't know. It's fun for me when it gets weird. I'm out now, so it's okay.
Knocking on wood, kind of going into the Fae territory, and the Fae, of course, they love their shiny stuff.
Well, there's links to Joseph Smith and the Tuatha Danann, or however you say it. I can't ever say it right.
Yeah, the Tuatha De Danann.
I said that in the worst American way ever.
Yeah, the tribe of Dan who fought against the Fomorians, the giants. That's a story all over Europe.
But I bet some survived.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of. I mean, I believe there's even there should be connections to the Arthurian legends.
There is
as well.
100%.
And Merlin, of course, was a wizard. He was a druid.
Yes, and there is connections to that already. I've found for Arthur.
Yeah. Oh, of course there is, and of course you found it because
I've been on the hot trail of history lately. I was ready, and then these damn Epstein files came out, and messed up everything because they're confusing, and Mormon weird stuff came out, and I had to cover it, so it backed up at it once again. I'm really trying to get this history stuff started because it's so fascinating to me. I just think it's fun. I think it's important we know where we came from, and I think the amnesia that has been impressed upon us is on purpose so that we don't know who we are. Because if you know who you are, you might just see you're not a nobody farmer, just like Joseph.
Yeah, no, exactly. If you don't have even the slightest inkling that you're not who you thought you are, then why would you even question it?
I never did.
You have no idea who, what, where. So, not interesting. It's be fun to know, but I'm too busy surviving, living
it's
paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck. If the paycheck doesn't run out a week before the other paycheck comes in.
Yeah, no kidding on that. It's true. It's true. And, that's the point. If we figure it out, and we all stop fighting. And maybe we figure out how much we all have in common. Maybe we'll just realize our own power.
Oh, well, can't have that now, can we? There goes the established order. There goes the New World Order.
Yeah, I hope it
I mean,
goes.
assuming that it's like the actual New World Order, not the New World Order that is in place to, disguise the coming in of the actual New World Order. Because, like, you have the New World Order and then you have the New World Order, And
The
again,
hidden hand.
I've said it before and
Always.
I'll say it so many times again. If you know the names, if you know the faces, if you know who they are,
That's
no,
not
you
the
don't.
one. Yeah.
Nah,
nah.
they're not the one. I mean, the fact that we know about the Rothschilds, the fact that we know about Epstein and Diddy and like fucking whoever means that, they're not it.
That's
I mean,
not the one.
they're pushed forward as, a scapegoat. It's like, oh, you focus on them so that stage magic, like look here, so that you don't know and don't see what's happening here.
Well, think about the name. It tells you they are. The red, they're the sacrifice shield. Think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, the red shield of Mars as well. The god of
Rothschilds, that's what it supposedly means. Red shield. So
Yeah. I mean, in German, it literally means Rothschild, but that's also a name that was adopted. That's not even their actual. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're Bowers. It's funny to me. I just think that, all the obfuscation clearly means they were specifically trying to do something here, but they also were specifically trying to keep their bloodlines pure. Like, I don't know if you know, but until 1978, no colored person in the church could hold the priesthood, not the top level. And so, that doesn't mean Native Americans, and that doesn't mean Latins, and that doesn't mean, lots of other people. It was specific to the Black race. And when you start to learn about, theosophy stuff, and I mean, clearly it was older than that, but it's all back to this great white brotherhood and, not interbreeding, not intermixing. Now they're like, oh, yay, we love everyone. But like back then it was serious enough to label their blood. Oh. Yeah,
and that's why they're kind of pushing for everyone else to, please intermix.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, why what the Jewish people say about that, don't you? We'll say Sabbateans. We won't say that one.
Yeah, sure.
So, because if they are tainted with that, then they will be destroyed, and they want the Aryan race wiped out, period. So that and they want also the Arabic, all of them. They want all the races wiped out but them. It's not just against white people, it's against all of us. They'll be left.
It's everyone but the tribesmen, let's say.
Yep. That's it. And so it's kind of concerning when you see that, because if you ever watch clips of people, from that denomination, they'll tell you they hate you. They hope you all die. Like crazy stuff. They say,
they're very open about it. I mean, even if you walk around Jerusalem, like wearing a cross, like in at least in certain neighborhoods, you get spat on.
It's wild. I just think, there's regular, that word, and then there's this Sabbatean movement that is so important that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
Then you can't talk about it because they don't want anybody to know. I'm like, this is stupid. This isn't even the people you're talking about in the Bible. You guys are doing this thing, which you think is a good thing, which the Mormons 100% have always backed. They're articles of faith. These articles of faith that they have that are super important to them. Literally, they say they back Israel. So, Zion, the old Zion has to rise up for them. And then the new Zion is here in Salt Lake. Well, actually, Zion is what they call America, like right here where Utah is. It was Zion. This is what they called it at first. And then they changed it to the name Utah. The government did. But the articles of faith, they literally say this is part of what they believe. So is to support all this because it has to happen before the end days. So, but they also believe the Garden of Eden is in Jackson County, Mississippi. So whatever. Yeah. But do I think they build a Zion? I do. I think they built their own. Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting when we see certain heads of different factions all coming here. And again, the Olympics are coming back here. very quickly.
Yeah, even the FIFA World Cup, and God, like of course it had to be Americanized. Yeah, like now you have like, oh God, what is it, like every so many minutes, like a 3 minute break or something, just
Oh,
so
wow.
just for the commercials, just to
Really?
make money. I mean, it's football, actual
Yeah.
football, European football. We
Soccer. Yep.
have, yeah, like it's
But I
two
get it.
halves of 45 minutes, and in between those halves, it's like a 20-30 minute break or something. That's it. That is it. But no, America, it had to be their way, had to make more money off it. So now we're getting commercial break, commercial break, commercial break, commercial break,
Yeah.
commercial break. And I mean, there are going to be very little Europeans who are going to watch that, just because it's,
It's a lot.
it's our sport, maybe, but it's not,
Hmm.
they made it American. It's no longer.
And do you think with that and with what Trump has been doing, trying to acquire different places and forcing things that what you just said, starting at sports, which makes a lot of sense because it's
Mhm.
important to people, is the whole plan to integrate everyone into a new world order. And they're going to start with things like celebrities and things like sports and things like this and things like that to make us all be the same so they can control it all together.
I mean, that's not going to fly with the Europeans.
I hope it doesn't, because if we don't start paying attention, a lot of things are going to be very dire, in my opinion.
I mean, we are too proud of our heritage. I mean, the ones that have common sense left,
Right. Right.
which are, well, I mean, more Europeans than Americans.
Right.
We know our history. We are proud of our history. We are proud of, what we do, what we have created. Europe built the Western world. Especially us here in the North, we are friggin' survivors because we
Mhm.
had to,
Right.
because it's hard living out
Yes.
here. So we
Yep.
know how to survive. That's what made us strong. It's what made us so determined.
That's what they say about the Mormons, because they took off and basically helped, with the whole settling of the wild, wild west. And it's crazy out here. Like one day it could be 100 degrees, the next day it could be 30 degrees and snowing and freezing and all this stuff. Like it's weird. And the only lake they had was a big lake full of salt. But that salt was absolutely almost identical to the Dead Sea. So that's interesting. Yeah. It's a whole nother rabbit.
I've swum floated on
Me
the Dead
too.
Sea. I've been to Jordan.
In the Great Salt Lake. But they say there's no other place like it. That the only place that's the closest is the Dead Sea. And you float like crazy.
Yeah,
But now they took all that down. There was an amazing Tartaria building there and all this awesome stuff. And of course they tore it all down. So yeah, it's really pretty. You should look up
something.
what did they call it? I'll think of it in a second. But it's so cool.
I mean, it's something about
Saltaire.
those lakes, just something about large bodies of water. Because I mean, that's how I really kind of became a fan of the esoteric archives, because they were talking about Vinland, and the Great Lakes play a very large role in at least the settlements that are or aren't Vinland.
Interesting. I tell you, it's way more connected than it isn't. That's for sure. Everything's
Yeah,
it's very interesting. We have to look at history with a different eye, and I think the biggest thing is they put us all in school and made it really boring, and nobody cared anymore.
I mean,
Unfortunately.
school, they're it's still priming us for factory work, mundane tasks. You get
Yep.
2 breaks, but only when the bell rings.
It's awful.
The bell,
Hurry and eat your
the keeper
food.
of time.
Yeah.
Speaking of Saturn,
But yeah, no kidding. And no time for, leisure, like even my daughter, she's always like, I can't eat lunch at school, right? Because they want me to hurry so much. And I've taught her not to do that, And
yeah,
it's just crazy because you're programming them one way and then they reprogram them another way. And that's in a good school. That's like a charter school, but it doesn't matter what you do. I always tell her, this is like your fake part of life. Like you just have to get through this and then your real life will start. Like just, know that this is just not real,
It's something you have to go through. It's kind of, a initiation into society.
That's for sure.
And once you're through that, you can just you can do whatever.
Exactly. But nobody, just like, the most important books that are out there, I mean, they just get swallowed up by history. We're busy and whatever, but there's a lot more connected than there isn't. And these Rosicrucian papers, if they really did make it, I mean, then it's a little wild. Because don't forget Maddock, where he landed in Alabama. That's where Project Paperclip ends up later. I think there's a lot of connects with that. And I think that, the Mormon church kept a lot on the down low. Joseph Smith didn't want that all out for everyone. But Brigham Young, he was a businessman. He died very rich with 55 wives and 57 children. He wasn't a closer, you might say. But that makes sense. Right? That makes sense if you think about it. If it's just practice for alchemical purposes, we'll just say.
55 wives?
55.
Jesus, brother.
That's what they called him. Brother Brigham. Actually, back then, they would have called him Breuer, which you might recognize. That's a very magical term here, at least, but for brother.
Oh, man. I mean, I'm married to one, and I have a daughter, and I'm.
It's crazy.
Hands short with both of them.
Yeah, no, it's like I always say. I mean, more power to you if by chance it's all consensual, everybody's over 18, and it's all the perfect setup. Let's say you're still crazy. Because I am a woman, and I wouldn't want to put up with it. I have 4 daughters. I get you. I got 4 daughters and 2 sons.
And my daughter's a redhead too, just like my wife is, and just like my daughter's mother is, of course.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
And I'm doing it all to myself. Like everything was consensual. So I got nobody to blame for it but myself.
You can't really escape it. But the boys are more wild, I think, when they're young. But also, they're more easy, in my opinion.
I mean, my son is blonde like me. Like he has like hella blonde, like white blondes. What I was and what his uncle was.
That's what my son is. Yep, blonde. Well, he's not now because he's gotten older. But when he was young, yeah, it was like white. Now he's 18, so it's calmed down quite a bit. But sadly, yeah, that's what I make the best is dirty blonde hair. All the kids got it but one. I got one brunette. The rest, no, dirty blonde, blue eyes, most of them. I got one that got my eyes. She's got greenish yellow eyes. It's like a green and yellow. But the others, all blue. They all look very similar. It's funny. My little brunette with her brown eyes, she looks like the rest of the family that we don't look like. So I'm sure my parents were like, when I came out, weird. I still look at them and go, if I didn't look like my dad, like I said, I would be concerned. But they both have brown hair and brown eyes and olive skin. And I'm this little whitey. I had no hair till I was 3. Like it was such a, yeah. My mom was like, yeah, it was weird. You kind of came out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, cool.
I mean, that's kind of my daughter too. Like her hair really didn't start growing in until she was like.
It took me forever.
Yeah, like 3 years.
I had like
old.
little tiny, sprouts.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, this has been a good time. I appreciate it so much, and that connection with the Minervals. Ooh, it's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a guy that talks about the Skull and Bone Society here in Utah. If you ever want to talk to him, he's great. So Tree of Liberty Society.
That would be interesting. I don't know much. I don't know much about Minerva. I really try to stay away from them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I know what they're about, but yeah, it's they are the future captains of industry, and like you gotta know someone to get in, and like preferably family, and like direct family. Like preferably mother, father, even like aunt, uncle.
Do they
is
let women
kinda,
in? Do they let women in?
Mm, oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I believe it's mostly men, of course.
They may have their own society, kind of like here,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, kind of like the Freemasons have to. They
Interesting.
have their own
Their
female.
own their own
Yeah.
section for the girls. Yeah. I always joke because he does another show about the Alfalfa Club too, which is really interesting, that guy. And like when I thought about it, because it's all guys, I'm like, oh, the original He-Man Woman Haters Club, because of that silly show, like the Little Rascals, but the
Yeah.
He-Man Woman Haters. I think that's always funny, but it's not true so much for the Masons and whatever. They all have their own, the Order of the Eastern Star.
Alfalfa. God, my wife
Ooh.
always, like, whenever I do get that cowlick every now and then, I never got the reference. Like,
Oh no.
she'd look at me and be like, "Nice hair, Alfalfa," and I'm like, "What?
You're like, what?
What do you mean? What, you never
Oh.
watched Little Rascals? No."
You're like, that's not a thing over here. What are you talking about?
I mean, it's well, not as popular.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, makes sense. The culture's that's definitely an Americanized show for sure.
Yeah, for
Well,
sure. I
thank
have
you
watched
again.
it since.
Yeah, I'd love to have
Yeah.
you come on and talk about. Looks like you were pretty interested in the Tuatha De Danann. I hopefully said that better. That
Yeah,
time.
the tribes
Or
of
something like
Dan.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
be fun. Be a good
Yeah,
one.
for sure. I'd have to do some more research into them, but
All
I'm
right.
aware of their story, their symbolism, their connection to, the other tribes of David's, tribes of Dan.
Yes, that's why I say it would go in a good direction regardless. I don't know that
Yeah, no,
you'd have
absolutely.
to get too crazy. We figure out tons of connections just chatting. So, and for
Yeah.
anybody, just in case, for me, if you guys find me on Spotify, that's like my favorite place for you to find me. I am on YouTube, but they don't, let me say what I want to say. So the shows are limited. There's way less. I have over 260 shows on Spotify. So that's probably your main place you want to go if you want to check me out, or unfilteredricepodcast.com. That's a really good place to go. It will give you the direct link in, give you a little more information about me and what I do, or my Patreon if you just can't get enough. I'm a medical weirdo on top of everything else I study. Me and Deplorable Nation, Deplorable Janet do quite a few medical studies. We're right in the middle of a psychiatric one, all about like the first, like all of the lockdown units here in America and all of like how they got there, what they would do to them. It's wild. It's wild stuff. So yeah, check me out all those places.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure that that all of it is linked. Of course,
Thank you.
I do make sure that my guests are well
great.
represented as well. Working links at that.
Yes. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. That would be great.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I need to catch up on your stuff.
So once you do podcasting, you never get to listen to a podcast unless you're doing research. I swear.
God, yeah. No,
It's the
true. I
truth.
mean, I'll listen to, podcasts in the in the car on my way to work. It's about a 45-minute drive, so like a good podcasts,
Yes.
like hour and a half. I get, about one a day, and then it's like, oh, this shit's fascinating, but oh, this one's new. I want to this is fascinating too. It's like, oh god,
Well,
too many
and then I'm always
too many interesting
researching.
podcasters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people are like, oh, what do you like to listen to, or what books do you like? I'm like, books I like or books I have to read. There's a huge difference. So.
Exactly. No, that's why I'm kind of, I have two study books that I'm reading, Carl Jung, Archetypes, and what was it again? Il Principe. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, you're like
Machiavelli.
that one. Yes.
Machiavelli, because, part of, well, European history as well, European politics, European psychology. So,
So fascinating.
it's
you got to
fun.
check out Carl Jung's 7 Sermons to the Dead. I'm telling you, it's about Abraxas.
Oh, of course.
Sorry.
It does. No, of course it does.
Pretty fascinating.
Oh man.
Yeah. 100%. Well, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Oh man, there are so many links to like just about everything, everyone, everywhere. Kind of like
Like
that song, any place, anywhere, anytime. It's
so
really
true.
that.
100%. Yes, man. Well, it's been a good one. I
Hell
hope you
yeah.
enjoy your
And
day.
I will. And of course, thanks to my lovely audience for sticking with us. Pre-editing, this is like almost 2.5 hours now, but there's just so much. There's so many connections. There's so much to talk about. Like we can do this another 2.5 hours, and we wouldn't even have scratched the surface. So if you can't get enough of me, that is www.greyhornpagans.com. That's my main website where you can indeed find everything else. If you like the videos, that is www.youtube.com/@SteinFox. I am pulling the focus away from YouTube, going to focus more on Patreon. If I want to get paid properly doing this, then Patreon is mostly where it is. That's patreon.com/Greyhorn I've got bonus content. I've got the book club. Of course, I recorded something new for the book club today. Is something that you might find interesting as well. The Night Sight of the Runes. Oh yeah. Uthark, Aloruna, and the Gothic Kabbalah. It's a banger. So yeah, patreon.com for Greyhorn Pagans. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, go follow, go subscribe to Heidi as well if you like this. This is what she does. This is what she's good at, and it is so worth it. So yeah, thank you all. Until next time, until the next show with, of course, a most interesting guests, because of course they are. She is. We'll see who it is. So thank you all. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This was yet another amazing episode of the Greyhorn Pagans podcast. We thank you all for watching. We thank you all for listening. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will be notified whenever we upload something new. Support us on Patreon for early access and for everything else that we do with the tribe, for everything else that we do with the podcast. Find us on www.greyhornpagans.com. For now, we thank you